What's up, everybody? Yeah, sorry, I don't know what happened right there. Um, my computer's lagging a little bit, probably. But welcome to the live. My name's Gershon. This is gpsnakes. This is Under 1,000 Podcasts. This is a podcast where I bring on other YouTube reptile enthusiasts, hobbyists, and breeders. Talk to them, get to know them a little better. It's a great way for me, an introvert, to get out there and talk to people. I know you guys see me in a lot of pictures in 10 liters over this past weekend. That was amazing. It was amazing, but also nerves were all over the place. So many people. But I did have so much fun meeting so many people, talking to so many new people, talking to old friends, making new friends. It was amazing. Definitely, if you ever can get to a Tinley, whether the March or definitely go to the October. So much fun. So much fun. Before we get started, say hello to a couple people in the chat. What's up, Kane? How you doing? Thanks for coming through. I meant to click something else, but hopefully I sound good coming through through stuff. But before we bring on our guests, you know how we do it every week. We say thank you to our sponsor. So let's say thanks to our sponsor for this episode.
This episode is sponsored by HERP Collectors. They're a family-run business specializing in investment quality morphs to help other breeders achieve their project dreams and beyond. They are working with a couple different morphs specifically. Their baseline is Clown, Desert Ghost, and Hypo. And they're dabbing a little bit in the Ultramale and Pieds as well. So definitely check them out for ball python needs. They are slowly coming up in the industry, and they're going to be producing some amazing animals very soon. But that's not all. They also have a YouTube channel. Of course, you know we're all about YouTube over here. They do a live podcast on their YouTube channel every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time called Clutch Conversations. It's a great podcast. I was actually on it, and Mike does an amazing job interviewing guests. He also brings guests from all over the industry and talks to them. It's a definite watch if you're free on Thursdays. And if you're not, you can still listen to it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you find your favorite podcast apps. Their mission is also to share the excitement of working with these reptiles, as well as bringing people together to promote and preserve our hobby. So what are you waiting for? Go follow and subscribe to their YouTube, their Instagram, their Facebook, and their TikTok. Thanks for sponsoring this episode, HERP Collectors.
Thank you once again, Mike and family, for sponsoring this episode. Greatly appreciate it. Met Mike for the first time at Tinley this weekend, or past weekend. Great guy. Had so much fun hanging out with him, talking snakes, and talking other snake-related stuff, business stuff. Super cool. I can't wait to hang out with Mike again. Trying to make it to Daytona, because I know that's his backyard, so definitely will try to make it there. But thanks again for sponsoring this episode, Mike. Greatly appreciate it. And definitely go check out, he had a podcast with Billy from Mutation Creation. Great episode. Definitely go watch it. You're going to learn a few things in that episode, 100%. But without further ado, guys, let's bring on our guest for this week.
Everybody just do your thing. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Hello,
Gershon. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for having me on the show tonight.
Oh, thank you for accepting. I greatly appreciate you coming on and hanging out with us. Paul, it's been so long since we
Yeah,
talked face to face or computer to computer. Um, how are you doing?
I'm doing really well. I'm actually on a journey of trying to reclaim my body at the moment because I've lost 35 pounds in 8 months
Okay,
and
okay.
I'm starting to build a little bit of muscle here.
Oh
Yeah,
snap!
yeah.
Oh, bringing the guns out.
The
Nice,
fat's starting
nice.
to melt away and
You,
my body's
oh,
starting to come back. So I'm so happy.
I am very
I'm
envious
so
because I've been
happy.
trying to lose weight myself. Not
Yeah.
going so good. I like hamburgers. So I'm working on not liking them so much. But so, if you could tell us a little bit of the secret to your weight loss, what have you been doing?
Oh, my doctor. I was scheduled to have hip surgery in September because 3 years ago I fell off a bridge when I was fly fishing for salmon, and the bridge just gave way and I had nowhere to go. So I landed on this eel caging right behind me, and I just
Mm,
smashed my hip. I landed a 200-pound man landing 4 foot on this iron girder sticking out on this eel caging on this river, and it basically damaged most of the cartilage in my hip. So my
mm,
doctor did an X-ray and he said we're going to have to do hip replacement surgery. And I thought, you must be joking. I'm only 50. At that time, I was 54. And I said, that's far too young to have hip surgery. But he said, no, you need to have hip surgery. So he said, you need to lose 3 stone as well. I thought, 3 stone? Do you know how
oh
hard that is to
wow.
lose 3 stone with a bad hip? Now, I used to be an outdoor man. I used to run marathons. I used to run for 3 hours non-stop. I used to play squash and racquetball. I was very active right up into my mid-50s. I was playing all these sports. And then my doctor turns around and says, I want you to lose 3 stone. And I was so depressed. I was thinking, how on earth am I going to do this?
Mm,
So I have a very strong spiritual background. So I prayed about it. And the Lord said to me, what do you have that can help you with this solution? And the Lord's basically asked that question to me, and I thought about it, and I said, well, I've got good upper body strength. I mean, I can't use my legs, I'm hobbling around, but I've got good
mm-hmm.
upper body strength, and I've also got a swimming pool. So I thought, put two and two together, I'm going to swim every day, and I'm going to try and lose as much weight as I can by being clean with my diet. So I stopped eating all those naughty things that we love to eat, when we're
True,
feeling
true.
I was feeling quite low and depressed, to be honest with you, and I was just comfort eating, and I thought, I've got to get out of this downward spiral. So I thought, right, go to work. I've got the Lord on my side. I'm just going to swim. And my first 30 lengths absolutely killed me. Absolutely killed me. I was out of breath. My heart, my lungs were all over the shop. And I said
Just
to my wife,
firing.
Mandy, I said, this is crazy. I said, I can't do this. But the next day I pushed myself to do another 10. So I went from 30 to 40 to 50 to 60 to 70. Until now, I can now swim 2 miles a day,
Oh wow.
non-stop. This is non-stop swimming. My
Okay.
heart and lungs are strong. My upper body's strong. I'm even starting to kick now. I can actually use my legs. My doctor told me for every pound you lose, you can take 5 pounds of pressure off your hips.
Mm,
Did you know that? I didn't know
I
that.
did not know that.
That is
No.
a huge motivation to lose weight. And
Exactly.
so I just kept on going, and I was ruthless with the food. I mean, I just started to do intermittent fasting. So I don't eat anything for 20 hours a day. I fast every day for 20 hours.
Oh wow.
And then in the evening, I eat like a king. So I eat lobster, I eat fresh steak, I eat fresh vegetables, I eat 5 fruits, I just drink 3 liters of water a day. And now I've just started my gym membership, which was the first time in 3 years I went to the gym.
Okay.
Can you believe this, Gershon? Last week I did a 7 kilometer run on a cross trainer at level 12
Oh wow.
with a dodgy hip.
Oh wow. Paul, you're gonna be unrecognizable in another 6, 7 months. The way you're
My wife,
growing.
my wife is very happy with me at the moment. She says, she says I've got my man back. She says I've got my man back.
Oh.
So it's helping my relationship with my wife. Our love is deeper than ever. My relationship with my children's improving. My businesses are doing better. I'm focused on the snake business more than ever because I'm
Okay.
energized. All that brain fog's disappeared.
Yep.
I'm on it. I mean, I'm this. You probably, if you've seen my last video, you'll see I've just invested in a new project, and
Yes.
I'm going for it. I mean, I'm committed to
Nice.
some good money, and I bought from a lovely family with really good high-end jeans. And I love my ultra pied project, and I was going to build it from scratch and create it from scratch, but I thought,
Yeah.
you know
Hey.
what? I tried, and so many things go wrong, go wrong.
Yes. Yes.
I'm just gonna give myself a boost and get some quality males in with some females ready to go, and I'm gonna give it a shot and see if I can reduce my.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Wow. So glad to hear all of that, Paul. Definitely glad to hear,
Thank
because I
you.
was worried about you when you told
Yeah.
me you had to have hip replacement surgery.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm so glad you're getting in shape, feeling more vibrant, feeling more excited about
I
life,
am.
and
Yeah.
just focusing on the positive things in life.
Yeah.
So happy for you, man. So
Oh,
happy.
thank you,
And
Gershon.
all it took
Yeah.
is the doctor to tell you we're going to cut you open. You were like, you know what? I think I'll start swimming. I think I'm going to start swimming. Don't worry about cutting me. I got
Oh, it's
this.
brutal. Honestly, if anyone has had hip surgery and you speak to a doctor, when they tell you what they got to do,
Yeah.
when you do all your research. Now, I'm 57 now, and I've never really studied my anatomy that detailed because I've been in good health for 50 years of my life. I mean, when I was a
Mhm.
child, I had an eye operation. I was cross-eyed, and I had to have one eye adjusted, straightened out, so I could see
Okay.
I used to see double vision. I had double vision when I was a kid.
Oh, okay.
That was the only operation I've ever had in my life, and I'm now 57, and I had that when I was 8. So I went 50 years without any need for any surgery, nothing, and not even going into hospital. I've had a very good, lucky life.
Oh,
And
wow.
then all of a sudden I had this accident, and then I have to start studying my body to see what's going on. And my doctor is challenging me to do all these things, and I'm one of these people that I have to research things out really carefully and look at all my options before I commit to surgery.
Mm-hmm.
So my doctor
That
was
makes total
surprised.
sense.
I went back to see him and I told him, I know so much about this operation. There's 3 different ways of having a hip surgery. One of them is less intrusive than the other, and you've got to make sure. Nowadays they use laser technology. There's so many things going on with surgery that do your homework before you make that commitment, because it makes a huge
Very
difference.
true. Very true, because there's a lot of people that just want to cut you open. So
Oh,
you
yeah.
definitely need to do your research and know what you're getting into, know what you put in your body through, 100%.
I mean, my own
And be
feeling.
mentally
Yeah.
prepared for it, too.
I was mentally prepared. I was ready for this operation. My doctor said, let's delay it 6 months because you're doing so well. Let's see where you go for the next 6 months.
That's
And
great
I
to
found out
hear.
because I'm seeing a chiropractor, I'm seeing a physio, and my physio, who trained in London with a top chiropractor, he had a similar problem. He went to France, and in France they have this operation called stem cell development. They do keyhole surgery, and they take out some cartilage out of your hip, and they grow it in a laboratory, and then 3 months later they re-inject it back into your hip, and then it grows. So your cartilage is basically dead bone, but it grows. It can restore. It can.
Oh.
And did you know that lobster? I eat lobster virtually 3 times a week. Now, lobsters, when they lose their claw out at sea, within 3 months they can grow a claw back.
Okay. I did
So
not
it's-
know that.
It's regenerative food. So when you start eating lobster, that regenerates your body because it's high in protein, very, very high in protein. It's organic, and it helps to rebuild cartilage in your body and makes you strong.
Oh,
So
wow.
if you've got weaknesses in your joints and you love fish, eat lots of fish, omega-3s. I mean, I'm becoming a medical expert. I mean, I know we're talking snakes tonight, but honestly, I want to.
we get to the snakes and all that good stuff, people. We're learning about our bodies right now. So that, wow. So it's totally changed your whole way of
Oh.
thinking about life and way of going about life.
Yeah,
Oh,
my
wow.
whole outlook has changed. And you know what? In 10 years, they're going to look back and say, thank goodness for this new technology, because some of the old barbaric surgery that we're going through at the moment probably will phase out, and they're going to go for regenerative alternative therapies. And
Mhm.
I really do think that's where it's going to go. So if you can hobble about, or if you can manage your pain, allow technology to catch up, let other people do the operation, let's see how they get on. There's even a guy, I think, who went all the way over to Mexico and actually had shark cartilage taken from a shark, injected into his body, and it started to help his own cartilage grow using
Oh, wow.
stem cell. The only problem is when he smiled, he looked like Jaws.
Okay, that's a good one. That's a good one. I gotta make a note here, because that might be a clip I'll use later, because that's a good one. But for maybe some of the people that don't know who you are, let's let them know who you are, your company name, and what you breed and take care of.
Okay, so my name is Paul Greenacre, and it's a father and son hobby business, and my son is called Jared Jared got me into snakes 4 years ago. He's been keeping ball pythons for about 5 years. He bred his first clutch, showed me his first clutch, introduced me to his small collection, and I fell in love with ball pythons. And I said to Jared, you love this, I would like to get into doing some projects with you. In my first season, we produced a whole bunch of beautiful ultra males and Mojave ultra males, and I just loved it. And I thought, you know what, I want to, and it became addictive. So we went out, my daughter came with me, we bought lots of snakes. We now have 200 snakes. We built a facility in lockdown.
Oh, wow.
So we've now got a large building in our back garden. It's a big facility. We built that as a family during lockdown, and now we have enough space for 400 snakes in there now. We've got 200 at the moment, but it has the capacity to get up to 400. Our projects are ultramale pieds. We've got a dream school project. We've got a Xantic clown project. We've got a highway clown project. We've got a panda pied project. We've got about 12 specific projects that we're really excited about. And we're at the process now of realizing that we're carrying an awful lot of snakes that don't excite us anymore. And we're in the process of actually selling some of those on to make space for our future projects. And we're upgrading. We've grown on over the last 3 years, probably about 20 to 30 beautiful recessive females who are ready to breed this year. I'm super excited about this year because all that hard work for 3 years, we've got these girls up to size now, and we've got the boys ready to go. But I've looked at my collection, and Jared and I sat down and did our plans, and we realized that we're short of some studs. So I'm now in the market of getting some high quality double recessive studs. So we just bought the ultra pied boy this week, which is on our last YouTube video. And you can, if anyone hasn't seen that, go see that one, because we've got a very good high quality ultra pied stud. And I'm now looking for my panda pied project. I'm looking for a mahogany pied boy that I would like to plug in. I've got 3 cinnamon pied girls that are ready to be bred, and I've got that ready for that project. So I want to find a boy for them. And I'm also looking for, I've got a very high-end clown boy, but he hasn't locked yet, and I'm just worried that there's so many clowns for him to use. If he doesn't lock, all those beautiful big clowns that we've produced, if they don't have a stud going in there, we could end up with very few clowns. So I'm thinking, let's bring in a couple of high-end clown boys ready to go. We've got a Batman project. Yeah.
That makes perfect sense. Oh, I love the Batman project. Hopefully I will be producing Batman this coming season. I missed out last season. The male I used wasn't really locking, so I threw another male in, and it was still a good clutch. Got my albino inchy clown out of that clutch, so still a really good clutch. One of my dream animals to make, so super excited about that. But hopefully this season that guy figures it out and can do some breeding this season. You get a couple Batman clutches. That would be great. That would be definitely great.
Gershon, your beautiful creation. I mean, I saw that video, and to see your Enchi albino clown boy, you must be so happy. I mean, 4 years in the making. I was so pleased for you. When I saw that animal, I thought, my goodness me. I mean, I know you love your Enchis, I know you love your albinos, and I know you love your clowns. I mean, you hit the banger there. I mean, when that came out on that clutch, I bet you were jumping for joy.
I was super excited. I was trying not to be in the incubator every 2 seconds while they were still in the egg. And then when he finally came out and I got to see him, it was great. But then once he shed, and then 2 days after that shed, he started to have these different colors on him. And he started to get brighter. And I was like, oh my goodness, I am just so excited to watch him grow up. 100% excited to watch him grow up.
You got to hold on to him. He's gorgeous, and he's going to be
such a. Staying here.
He's going to be a stud and a half going forward. I mean, he's going to take your projects to the next level, because I love Enchi.
Here. I definitely can't wait to plug him into some stuff. I wanted to go a different direction with the albino clown stuff. I want to get a lot more dark morphs into it. Try to bring out that contrast. But yeah, he's definitely staying here, and he's going to be doing some work in the next year or two. Fingers crossed. I'm very excited about him.
He's lovely. He looks beautiful. I love the Enchi impact on albino, because albino is so dominant, but that Enchi's strong, and it's having an impact. I'm so
Very
pleased for you.
strong.
It's a gorgeous
Thank
animal.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And also, I
So-
noticed you've got 2 really nice pickups this year because you're getting into the puzzle project. Now,
Yes.
I want to get into that project, so I'm going to be keeping an eye on what you're doing with that project because
Okay,
you got those
definitely-
from you got those from Mike, didn't you? Because Mike at M-Tip, M-Tip actually got them for you, didn't he?
Yes,
that right?
he did.
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah.
He sent it to me to say thank you for getting them started on YouTube, having them on my Next Up series.
That is
So
awesome.
I was like, you don't have to do this. But he was like, no, you're a good person. I want to show that I appreciate what you did, and I couldn't do anything but say thank you. Like I'm into that
Oh.
project now. I'm into that project and Cypress as well now.
And Cyprus.
So,
Oh, goodness me, that's
2
brilliant.
projects I
Oh,
was looking at, debating. Now I have no debates. I'm already in them, so I'm super
Wow.
excited for that for the future.
oh,
Definitely.
fantastic, Gershon. I know. I'm looking
Definitely.
forward to seeing what you're going to do with those animals.
Okay, so we have been just talking to each other basically.
We have, yeah.
So I deeply apologize everyone in the chat. Let's say hello to a couple of your chat. Do want to hit some questions because that's what this is about. We're getting to learn a little more about Paul.
Okay.
Definitely, that's good. So Eric, thanks for coming through. Pete, thanks for coming through. Hutch, what's up? Tummy, what is it? Tummy Tinley 2020. I forgot what it's called, Hutch. You just texted to me. But what's up, Hutch? Joe, what's up? Thanks for coming by. Tammy, thanks for coming by. Greatly appreciated. Kai, thanks for coming by. Greatly appreciated. Waffles, Jeremy, what's up? Thanks for coming by. Definitely check out his channel on Sundays. That's where I am on Sundays. I'm feeding and listening to Waffles Morphs live. Bosa, always a pleasure to see you in the chat. I call you Aaron, but everybody else calls you Bosa. But thank you for coming by. Greatly appreciate it. So, guys, oh yeah, I got Cypress. Yeah, I got Cypress, Kai. Oh, you're enjoying? Okay, so as long as you guys are enjoying the conversation, then I take the sorry back. I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. That's what we just want to inspire and encourage people to do the
Yeah.
best they can. 100%. What's up, Mike? Our sponsor for this episode. Thanks for coming by, bro. Appreciate it. So great to meet you at Tinley for the first time. Talking to you. We've been talking forever, but to finally, meet in person, it was a pleasure talking to you, hanging out with you, and can't wait to do it again, bro. Greatly
He's
appreciate
doing
knowing
such a
you.
great show. I mean, Gershon, he's doing such a great
Man.
show. He's knocking it out the park. Talk about going in and just looking so professional. And by the
Yes.
way, I like the way you've revamped your channel. I like the.
Thank you.
I
I'm
need-
planning on revamping again for season 3. Like every year, I want to rechange it. At least the podcast per se. Everything else,
great.
maybe not slowlier, but the podcast, I want to change it so it feels organically growing. So
It
like
looks
it's
really
always
good.
changing.
I love
Thank
it.
you.
You're giving me ideas because I'm going to be relaunching my lives probably this winter, and we're going to do like a series of just eight
Okay.
8 Saturday nights, and I'm going to try and mix it between UK, US, and Canadian as well.
Mhm.
But I'm going to try and revamp mine and make mine a little bit more professional, a bit more prepared, and try to get the British, some of the British breeders to kind of join us really, and then have
Okay.
some cross-continent, Atlantic across
Definitely.
communication, build the because I do think that these snakes, if you look at your projects, it won't be long before you're going to be hitting $5,000 snakes, and therefore
Very true.
being able to export to the US and being able to export from the US or from Canada and to Europe is going to happen. And as us young breeders coming up the ranks, we're going to start to step up over the next 2-3 years. So building these foundations and footings now is going to give you another market to be able to trade with each other. So I think you're very
Definitely.
forward-looking, Gershon, and I'm really proud that you're doing this because you're kind of
Thank you.
inspiring me to I want to try and build the UK more because I think we could do more in the UK. You guys are about 2 or 3 years ahead of us when it comes to social media. Yeah, honestly, you are.
I didn't realize you guys were, I won't say so far behind, but not as close as neck and neck with us. So
Well, I
that is
think-
interesting to know.
We've probably got in the UK, I'd say on the YouTube channel front, we've probably got in the UK 20 YouTubers that are into ball
Okay.
pythons, probably. And of those 20, there's probably 10 of them that put out regular content. And if you compare that to the USA, I mean, I already know because I'm so connected to Canada and USA. There's hundreds of YouTubers out there that are breeding reptiles. Hundreds. You are miles ahead of us. But you've got 4 times the population, so we expect you to be bigger. But I think there's a lot of, like I said, that we are quite reserved in the UK. We're almost like not used to public speaking, not used to kind of doing these things. But the more you invite us on these kind of shows and we see that we get confidence, that will give us confidence to maybe launch our own.
Okay. So speaking of which, any UK breeders listening, Paul's going to start his podcast up, so definitely contact him to be on it. He's definitely looking for more UK breeders, UK reptile enthusiasts to talk to and, you know, put a light on. I get it, you guys don't necessarily want to have that spotlight shine, but it's okay. Don't be scared of it. Trust me, I was one of those people not wanting to be in the spotlight either, so I can totally understand that. But I can't. It's so hard to tell you how much enjoyment I've gotten doing the channel, learning to do different things with the channel, learning the podcast, meeting new people, making like connections with people. It's amazing. It's opened up my world a lot more. I've made most likely lifelong friends, and I've made new family members 100% from doing YouTube itself. So sometimes you got to step out of that box and face that fear. That's just how it is. I mean, you got to face that.
Yeah.
But I looked on your podcast, and I'm not bragging, but I noticed that I was one of the highest guests with reviews on it. I'm just saying that did give me a little bit of encouragement. You know, hey, maybe people like that I'm doing this. So it's good to see.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing because when it comes to YouTube channels, we don't realize how much good we're doing sometimes. Can I give you an example of how a YouTube channel can help you with your hobby?
Yeah, definitely.
Last week I was looking for these stud males, and I had like 3 or 4 options on the ultra male pied gene. And I saw this beautiful, the best looking ultra pied boy I've seen ever. I mean, this is a very big pattern. You would think it had an inch in it. It was a massive pattern. It had 2 or 3 smiley faces and ghosty looking faces on it, and it was as bright as a button. And I was thinking, I've never seen an ultra male so beautiful, because when it went with the pied, it popped. It went just, I mean, the colors were just out of this world. And I didn't know the family that was selling it, but I thought I'm going to send them a message on Morph Market and see if the snake's still available. When I text them, they text me back, and we had a chat on the telephone. They said, "Hi Paul, we've been watching your channel for several years, and our daughter loves your channel, and we would be delighted to sell this snake to you because they've seen my facility, they know my standards, they know that I love and care for these animals. And when people are selling animals, it's not just about the money. It's about showing them that you're going to look after, that they've taken 3 or 4 years to look after." And we had instant friendship. They knew me before I even, I mean, he actually said, "I'm starstruck," and I'm a very humble, small YouTuber with 1.2k subscribers. And from their perspective, they saw me as a superstar, and I see myself as a little humble breeder that's doing my little bit in the community. And from their perspective, they just saw me and Jared as the world to them. It was their world. And it was so easy to buy from them. So I'm going to give you a different angle here, is to encourage people to get a YouTube channel. It will make you more competitive, it will build stronger relationships, you'll get deals that perhaps you may not get, because people will sell their best animals to those people they feel they can trust to look after them. It's not just about the money, it's all about caring for those animals. And I think it's a deal maker. A good YouTube channel is a deal maker when it comes to doing negotiations and discussions, and the generosity of the family and the love. And their daughter sent us the lovely message, and we felt part of their family, and we've only just literally got to speak to them in the last few days, and it feels like we've known them forever. This is what YouTube can do for us.
That is the part of this industry that I do like. The coming together, it starts with one common thing that we all have a fascination, a passion for, is reptiles. And to see that grow from that to you guys making friends with someone that you never even met and becoming such good friends, it's the magic that happens in this industry that we don't normally get to see on a day-to-day basis. We see all the bad parts of the industry, the negative parts, but we rarely get to see the positive parts, um, especially being posted about and people expressing it to
Hmm.
other people and showing them. So thank you for sharing that. That I appreciate you sharing that so
Yeah,
much. Um,
absolutely, Gershon. And I wanted to ask you a question because you just come back from Tinley, and like
yes.
I wanted to ask you because I want to go to Tinley one year.
Oh, you
And
definitely should go.
and when you went, you connected with so many brothers and sisters that you've built in the community. Some you haven't seen, but YouTube you kind of connected. And when you must meet them for the first time, and I know you said you're kind of an introvert, and you kind of in the old days when you went to shows, you'd probably like to sneak around and not really be
Yeah.
in the public forefront. But now you're doing your YouTube channel. People are looking out for you. They want to come and meet you, give you a hug. And I bet you've got Celtic Bulls, you've got Jeremy Wolf's Herb Collectors. You've got
Yep.
all these wonderful friendships that you're building. And when you guys come together, honestly, I bet you'd want to almost like party. You want to go to a hotel, go to a pool, go to a bar, go and have a meal together, enjoy the snakes together. It must be just an amazing experience. It must be like heaven.
It is. It is definitely amazing. It like I felt comfortable around these people that I've never met in person, but I've talked to on a regular basis every day, shared really deep information with each other and passions with each other. So when I did see them in person, I felt so comfortable around them, which also helped my anxiety of being in a place with so many people.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
kind of helped surround myself by the people that made me feel safe. So I did hang out with a lot of the usual suspects, Celtic Balls, Angie from Jar. We became friends. She knew
Yeah.
about me because other Angie was talking about me to her, but she never met me, and we finally got to meet. And she let me know, she was like, "You are just a great person. My sister talks about you all the time." And I'm like, "Who is this person?" And I've gotten to meet you and watching you interact with people and watching you what you've done helping people in the community. You are a great person to know, and I want to just
Lovely.
thank you for what you were doing. And I was just I don't do what I do to get praise. I do it because I want to do it. Like I
Hmm.
want the community I'm involved in, I want it to be positive. I want to see the positiveness from people. I want it to be a friendly atmosphere. I want people to feel so comfortable with each other to be
Hmm.
able to talk to each other and be able to, network with each other and
Yeah.
find
Yeah.
each other. Sometimes it's hard to find your tribe, honestly, and through the internet, we've been able to find each other so much easier. So all I'm doing is trying to make that one more step easier by
Oh,
letting people see each
Gershon,
other.
you are providing such a wonderful network for the smaller breeders, particularly that are going to become so strong going forwards, and we already are. I was going to ask you, if I may. I was concerned about key constrictors because I know they're based in Florida. Is that right? Is it
Yes,
Florida?
they're in Florida.
And
They're
now,
good.
are they okay? Are
They
the snakes okay? Is
Yes,
it
their
everyone?
snakes are okay.
Okay.
So they lost power, I think, for maybe a day, a day and a half. They had eggs in the incubator. Incubator stayed warm enough for the eggs, I believe. So the eggs are still good, still working on being hatched.
Okay, that's good.
The animals, nothing bad happened with the animals. I guess it's Florida, so they regular heat in Florida is okay. So they didn't drop down to like 20 degrees. They're still 80 degrees. So they didn't
Okay.
necessarily need heat tape and stuff. They stayed warm. Um,
Okay.
and they were at Tinley as well. Got to hang out with them. My brother from another mother and my sister from another mother as well. Greatly appreciate them. I am so proud of what they built out of me just saying they keep telling me it was me that did it. They contacted me and asked me to be on the podcast when I started it. And there was a misinformation where they thought I told them to say four, they had to make four videos. I said they just had to make one. But that lit a fire under them and they just took off and just been doing amazing things since then. So
Yeah.
I am just amazed at their growth and the way they they've built another community within this community, and
Yeah.
they brought me into it too, which I greatly appreciate, and I'm so proud to be a part of the usual suspects. So it is just, you never know what you might do or what someone else might do, and grow this community within the future of that. You never. It's
Yeah.
just amazing. It's just amazing.
We call this in the UK. We call this the domino effect. So, like, you start off with one domino, and that domino hits another domino, and that hits another
Yep.
domino, and it can hit a whole chain of dominoes going off. And you know, before you realise it, you've built up a huge community. It's just incredible. It's just
Very
unbelievable.
true. Very
It's
true.
wonderful. I'm really
Very
pleased that
true.
key constrictors are okay. And I
Yeah.
bet you any money, did they go home with a snake?
I think they went home with two, because they just actually they just put out a video of their Tinley pickup. So if you wanted to
Okay,
go
I need to
check
go.
that out
I'm going to go check it
on
out. But
this channel,
it's
yes.
a silly question because he's the Pope Catholic. Because I know that every
Yeah.
time I see a video, I'm seeing a pickup. There's another pickup. There's another pickup. I'm
Yeah,
thinking,
for
how many
me,
sna-
my goal was not to buy anything at the show, and I succeeded in that goal. I went
Okay.
down to network, to meet friends, to hang out, to I did fail on shooting more content. I meant to shoot actual content at Tinley, and I
Yeah.
didn't shoot anything because I was so busy meeting people and hanging out with friends and meeting new friends that I just enjoyed being in that moment at that time.
Mhm.
So I a couple of people that I know were like, "Hey, you better shoot content," are a little upset with me, especially me being the guy pushing everybody to do YouTube and not to be doing YouTube myself at that time. So I can understand that, but I just was in the moment of enjoying that show and enjoying the community that I am so glad to be a part of and help continue building in a positive way.
So, how far is it from your place to Tinley? Out of
So it's
interest.
only about 2.5 hour drive for me.
So, would you
So
one day, when your collection is where you want it, would you ever consider vending from there?
I've gone back and forth with vending, um, which I did. I did. I've been to a small show before. I've been to a small show before. It was all right. It was cool. I helped a friend with a medium-sized show where I was helping him with rat orders. So he's a bigger rat breeder, and he had frozen stuff, and people usually pick him up. A few snakes here and there, but mostly his stuff is rats. Um, I I like the ability to move around. I like the ability to move around within the show and not be kind of stuck behind the table per
Yeah.
se. Um, I did kind of in this weekend. Derek from Big D Pythons wanted to go check out the show, and he was vending, and I told him like, I'll just hold down the booth while you're gone, no worries. So
Nice.
me and
Nice.
Keisha from Keys Constrictors sat in the booth, and we just did our thing. We happened to sell two different snakes for him. So I can sell stuff
Well
apparently.
done,
Uh,
Gershon. Yeah, that's a step in the right direction. You know how you encourage us to go into YouTube, and I'm trying to encourage you to vend. Adam at saying Royal Boars. Adam at oh, I keep forgetting Proper Royals.
Proper rules, yeah.
Now he's teaching me an example because he's been helping friends vend. He volunteers his
Okay.
services. So what you guys have done with Kusha is fantastic because that's the step
Yes.
towards one day having your own booth if you ever want
Yep.
it. But I completely get the freedom to travel and see friends and actually enjoy the snakes and not be tied
Yeah.
down. The only way I can see it working is if you have a collection of trusted friends that you can actually share it, just rotate the booth around and
True.
you could feel comfortable doing that, and then
Yeah.
you've got the best of both worlds, so you can actually sell snakes and also enjoy the show too, which should be nice.
Yes,
But
very true,
yeah.
very
Yeah.
true. So guys, we haven't answered any questions.
Sorry,
Let me
sorry.
know how you. I'm okay with it because I'm catching up with an old friend, so I'm fine with it. I don't know how the audience is. They said they enjoyed it in the beginning. I don't know if
Okay.
they still enjoyed it. But guys, honestly, let me know in the chat if you like this. If this is a different way I can do this podcast. If you just us talking basically, and we'll sprinkle in a question in a second
Yeah.
here, just to
Yeah.
give you guys something to catch on to. But let me know how you guys feel, because I mean, I want to make content that you guys enjoy, but you can tell that I actually enjoy this as well. So if we can hit both of those at the same time, hey, that's always great for me. But Paul,
Reptile Hutch says, Gershon, can you come and vent for him next year? So
I would love to bid for you, because he knows how to sell snakes, so he's already good with that. He's so liking that.
I think that's brilliant, Gershon. See, they like you, they want you to sell their snakes. You know? It's probably because you know why? It's because you've probably got half the people visiting the place you're probably connected to.
That is very true. I mean, I did sell one of Derek's snakes, but also trying to get the person I sold the snake to get on YouTube as well. So I'm always, I'm a good car salesman. I'm not pressuring you, but I'm letting you know that it's there, so if you want to take it. So let's actually bring up a question. This is actually a new question I thought of. So I'm excited to see where your head is at, talking about future projects when you're thinking about that. So what is a morph you plan to work with in the future?
So there's a couple of what I like. When you got into puzzle, I've got a friend that's into puzzle. I think puzzle's a wonderful gene to work with, and I think that's something that's on my radar. Acid is another one on my radar. I'd like to see the acid clown. I think Adam's getting into that project himself. He's bought a lovely acid clown male, I think, that he's going to be using. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on what Adam's doing on his side. I'll be looking and seeing how you're getting on with the puzzle. But I have a friend in the UK that's got the puzzle gene, and we're kind of working with each other. There's synergy in that particular relationship. So I've got a feeling that we're going to be able to exchange and transfer snakes to each other, trade off a little bit. So they're two, acid and that. I think Justin Kubelka put out a video today which interests me, which is the he produced a super, what was the name of it? It was a super
the super stranger?
Yeah, the super stranger looked pretty nice to me. In clown looked very, very beautiful, because such an unusual pattern to it. And you know what Justin's going to do with it? He's going to make some amazing animals with that. You know he is.
He is.
So
yes, he is.
I think Stranger's definitely an interest. It's quite expensive, but I think that's an interesting. But I've got to try and find something to produce my panda pieds with, and maybe Stranger could be a possibility. Getting a Stranger pied, a super Stranger pied. See how that looks, so I can put that to my cinnamon pied girls, because I don't want the. I tried one year. My first year, I tried for a panda pied clutch, and I ended up with 4 panda pieds, and all of them were kinked. I had 2 white panda pieds. No, I had. Was it 4? I think I just had a bad experience with that in my first year. So I need to source another way of getting the panda pied, but safely. So it's either going to be mahogany pied. I'm going to look at sumas, but they're hard to get. You try getting hold of a suma pied on the market. They don't come up that often, and when they do, they're big. They're serious dollars. I tell you, you've got to be right on it. If you want one of those boys, you've got to be right on it to get one.
You got to be ready to, because when they do come up, they get snatched real fast. So they don't stay up for long. So you have to be ready to get it, 100%.
Yeah.
So that is interesting. How many people in the UK do you know that is working heavily with puzzle? Is it a lot? Is it starting to dabble?
Well, we've got some really experienced breeders that have been working puzzle for many years, before everyone jumped on it. So we've got some high quality breeders in the UK that go back 20 years that have been working with puzzle for quite a few years. And they're very much under the radar. They don't have YouTube channels or massive social media, but they are producing amazing snakes. So we have got access to some high-end puzzle combos. You'd have to pay serious money for them, but I think you'd have to then build up a direct relationship with those breeders and build the confidence that, you know, you've got to gain their respect for them to even think about giving you one of their high-end genes, I think, because if you go onto Morph Market, there's not that many puzzles in the UK available on Morph Market. I don't know if you've ever tried that. I mean, if I go on now, I've got my other screen here. I'll just do a search to see what we've got in the puzzle project. And let's see how many are on there, because I'll type in puzzle and we go UK and we'll see how many are available.
Bob, what's up? So let me know when you're still thinking about, because we're gonna try to do a Wisconsin breeders meetup, trying to get all the breeders in Wisconsin meetup. That's something we thought about doing in like maybe a month ago or so. Um, so let me know dates if you still think those dates are great or what, so we can start trying to, you know, coordinate with everyone. Definitely. Yeah, because I was looking at I was just looking on, was it the Europe Morph Market, seeing where
Mm-hmm.
Desert Ghost was for you guys,
Mm-hmm.
um, and seeing how many people were working with it, or at least how many people were releasing Desert Ghost, because that gives you an idea of how popular that gene is in that area per se. And I was seeing quite a bit of like visual Desert Ghosts being sold.
Yeah.
Um, so that
So
gene is really getting heavy there.
Desert Ghost is starting to build up in the UK. I had to get mine from Europe 2, 3 years ago. So I've got Desert Ghost in my collection. But I couldn't get one in the UK 3 years ago, but now they're starting to happen. I've just done a
Okay.
search in the UK for the puzzle, and there's not
Mm-hmm.
one puzzle within 400 miles of my home.
Oh wow.
But there are plenty in Europe. So
Yeah.
in the UK, puzzles are sought after gene, big time. So that just goes to show. But if I did the same search in the USA, there'd be a lot more available. You guys have
Wow.
got such a much bigger market, and there's so many more
Yeah.
available, you know. But I have to
Sometimes the
admit, you
market's a little too big.
yeah,
Because
but
there's a
you
lot.
guys, you
Of,
guys pay. I looked at your prices. So if I look at my recent edition, it cost me a couple of £1,000 for my ultra male
hmm
pied. You guys are paying $3,500 for yours
Yeah. Our
now.
market is almost double what you guys is
So
pay
you
at for
guys are
mine.
paying about, probably, if you convert $3,500 with our poor exchange rate, you know our economy is tanking out over here in the UK at the moment. It's not good. Like the
No.
dollar to us now is 1.07 or 1.08.
Oh
I mean,
dang.
it's nearly one on one. It used to be one on 1.75 once upon a time. So
Yeah.
the dollar is very strong in the UK. You can buy. You've got to start looking at the UK market. If you can convert the exchange rate, get yourself.
Trust
You,
me.
you might want to
I've
have a
been
look at the UK
looking.
market. Honestly, the
I've
European
been
market.
looking at a couple animals on that market and trying to figure out how much it would cost me to get that animal and get it shipped over here. Shipping,
It's
depending
about
on how much you
$500, I
do,
think, to ship it over.
exactly.
Yeah. So you've got to go for something that's going to be 3 or 4 thousand bucks to make it worth your while.
Yep, yep.
So you want to
Or
go for a high-end snake if you're going to do it.
do a decent bulk order with some people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so
Or, like you say, if there's like 10 breeders in the US and you want to do a shipment of 10 snakes from Europe for a really good price, you could all share the costs and actually come over that way. It's another way
yep,
of doing it. Yeah.
yep,
Yeah.
yeah. Everybody's currency is going downhill. Honestly,
Yeah.
that is the world right now. Um,
Yeah.
oh, that's you crazy. Oh, what else? Yeah, the market cheaper, but not as wild as it. Yeah. I got some. Wait, I didn't take it. Trying to keep up with the chat. I got some of the Western Hog. Oh, okay. Okay. That's another animal I've been kind of dabbling and thinking of getting is hognose.
Yeah.
I've been having more. So I've been expanding the podcast, bringing on other reptile enthusiasts, other keepers, not just ball pythons, but other keepers of reptiles. I'm actually going to expand it next season into other animals as well.
Hmm.
So not just reptiles. I'm going to try that, see how that works, see how that does.
I enjoyed
But
that because I watched the Next Up show last week with that
okay,
lovely family, and they're breeding
yes,
hognose, and I was thinking,
yes,
this is actually quite good because you'll find a lot of ball python breeders, a lot of them are dabbling on the side doing other things. And
mm-hmm.
just introducing new reptiles could open up another world to people. Because, the hognoses are gorgeous animals. They've got very interesting characters.
It
Um,
really is. I'm
yeah,
learning a lot about them.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
okay, so let's hit another question. Let's see. So this is a good question. So, what was something you added to your YouTube channel after you started? So
Um,
it could be equipment, it could be um graphics or logos or even concepts of what you want to do with your channel? So what is something
So,
you
yeah,
added?
2 years ago, we decided to use a very small head camera, placed it inside a rub to get, I called it my lock camera for locking.
Okay.
I wanted to know what is going on when two snakes make love. I've never seen it before. And if you go back on my YouTube channel and you look for lock cam, you'll see my clown boy is full of foreplay because he's playing with the girl. The girl's bringing him on. Okay. And I put it in there. Now my camera can last up to 7 hours without the battery dying. It's 7 hours of footage. So I put it in
Oh,
there for
wow.
7 hours. Then I went through and sped up the footage to try and see what's going on. And this is what happened, okay? So the boy went in there, he checked out the camera, he could feel the heat off the camera, and you can see him almost licking the camera, and you can see him trying to bump it off and move it around. And then once he's kind of realized that it's not a threat to him, he then focuses on the girl. The girls, most of our girls, when they're ready to breed, they'll bring their tails up and they'll start to send the scent glands off, and they'll invite the boys on, and they'll start doing this.
Yeah.
And then when the boy goes in, a girl will bump him off. Now recently we just had our first 5 locks last week. We started our breeding season for this year.
Nice. Correct.
Jad and I had never seen this behaviour before. We had a bit of a joke about women bumping us off. You know, when a woman bumps you off, there's no chance of making love normally. But Jad was telling me in the breeding of the snakes, when a female bumps off a boy, that's her way of saying, "Come on, darling." Okay.
Oh, really?
So my big clown, we've got this really big, beautiful highway clown project that we're doing, gravel clown project. So I've got this beautiful big clown girl that's like 2,500 kilograms. She didn't go last year for us, but she's hopefully going to go this year. She sat there on the heat spot and she's really kicked out cool. We put in the gravel het clown boy and he goes towards us slowly. And as he goes up towards her, the female started to bump him off and her coils went like this, doosh, doosh. And I thought, she doesn't want him to come on to him. She's like pushing him off. Jazz said, no, look what's happening. She did it a second time, and then when we went back the next morning, they were fully locked. And we had a chat about behaviour. You know, so the boy has to be dominant. He has to go on top of that girl. Eventually, the girl will let him on top. If she's happy, because remember, she's a lot bigger than those boys. So she could... If she's sat on your boy, there's no chance of a lot.
Exactly.
And I've had that with one of my pairs. I put my lovely Exantic pied boy into this project. And poor guy, I mean, he's only about 800 or 900 grams. And he's on this 2,000 kilogram woman. And she was basically straight on top of him. No chance. He was just like...
I've honestly not seen the bucking behavior. I've not seen that.
Let me just describe what happens. So you've got the girl doing all the stuff, the boy's doing all the foreplay. He literally takes a couple of hours. It can be done in half an hour. He is going all over her body, and they're kind of massaging each other. There's lots of foreplay going on, lots of scent going on, lots of blood trails all over the shop. Tails are slowly building together, and they come together. They line up their tails. The female goes into the right-hand corner or left-hand corner, puts her head up, so she turns her back on the boy. And then the boy gets excited. You see him getting excited, and they lock their tails together, and you see a crescendo. And this is what happens. The tails come up like this. So let's see if I can get this for you. So the tails suddenly shoot up like this, and you see them shoot up together really high into the rub like that. They lock, and they slowly drop down. So it's a crescendo. And then you see him pumping the sperm into the female. You actually see him pumping his sperm into that female several times over, and he'll pump her for as much as 12 to 18 to 20 hours. You could be giving her as much sperm as you can possibly give her, and it's just amazing.
Do you have this on camera?
This is all on camera. I
gotta go watch this video.
I videoed this and I fast forwarded it, and I said, and I've had some top breeders say I've never seen that behavior before. These are guys that have been in the industry for 20 years. So I was using my head camera. Now I've got friends who are doing breeding projects. They're doing the whole project using infrared cameras. This year have decided to do 2 maternal incubations this year. I'm going to try.
Okay.
And I'm going to video the whole process from locking, breeding, all the way through the whole process, and showing newcomers particularly, and also experienced breeders, the whole process of breeding from preparing the animals to pairing them to getting the locks. Going to video the whole lot, and I'm going to video how she wraps around those eggs, how we let her get on with what she has to do, and a snake will ventilate those eggs by lifting up her coils and then dropping down. She opens up the air passage, so she creates the humidity, and then she has to let the air come into those eggs, and she will clean a rotten egg. If there's a rotten egg on that clutch, you haven't got to worry. She will clean that every day, and mold will not grow on that rotten egg. You leave it, it smells.
Oh, really?
And then the rest of the eggs will make it through, and she'll take care of that egg. So you let nature do its thing, and I think you're going to find a lot more breeders are going to try this, because they'll have more success if they let Mother Nature take care of it than they would. I know that the reason we've kind of used the incubation is to try and get the female back on food, get her back into condition. But there is another side to the hobby that's coming through quite strong. I've got 2 friends that are doing this in the UK, and they're documenting it on a YouTube channel, and it's Rob at Royal Bulls who's doing it. Okay, so Rob at Royal Bulls. If you want to see a maternal incubation on YouTube, go check out Rob at Royal Bulls. And we've got another breeder that's also doing it. In fact, he was the one that the first breeder that did it. And I'm trying to remember now. It's you know what, my head's just, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. My recall's really bad. It'll come back to me, but let me think about it in a second, but it will come back to me. There's 2 breeders I'm aware of that are doing maternal incubations, and they're doing it really well. And it's fascinating.
I put Rob's channel in the chat, so you guys want to check out that channel.
Go check out Rob Burraclough. If you want to learn more about behavior, this guy is very, very good.
Try to hit him up as well, because I didn't know about him.
Oh yeah, Tully is Joe Tully. The other guy, the other Gershon, the other guy to follow is Joe Tully.
Okay.
And I've forgotten the name of his business now, but it's Joe Tully, and he's a friend of Rob's. He started to show us his maternal incubation on YouTube, and I was fascinated by that as well. He's been successful too. So these are the 2 guys that are worth looking at. But we're going to start this year, and we're going to do the whole process right from locking all the way through to maternal incubation. We're going to try it on 2 females. I've got a bamboo girl that's huge. She went 2 years ago. She's going to be hopefully going this year. And I'm going to try it on my big pinstripe girl. And we're putting our G-stripe boy to her, who's a super pastel banana. So that'll be an interesting project. Okay. But we're going to do two. So to answer your question, what am I doing that's new? I'm always reinventing myself. I'm always changing. I go with my gut instincts. Me and Chad talk about it. If we think it's of interest to our community, we'll end up doing it. But we don't have any strict rules. We're so open-minded to, and I watch so many other channels. I learn so much from other people. It inspires me with ideas, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Hey, David, thanks for coming through. Appreciate you. So before we get to another question, you guys, it's time for Tip of the Week. If you didn't know, Tip of the Week is when I put a post on my Instagram or my Facebook. And under that post, all you have to do is put down a tip, whether it's for reptiles, YouTube, or life. Whichever tip you want, and whichever tip gets the most likes, I will shout out in my next podcast. So without further ado, let's check out this week's tip. Side note, Tip of the Week is a segment you can sponsor. If you would like to sponsor, get your name out there and help us over here at gpsnakes pay for rats or such things like that. You can sponsor this segment. Just let me know. We actually sponsor the episodes. You can be a sponsor as well, but all our spots are filled for this year, which touche to our sponsors. Thank you for that. But next year, we have spots open. So if you are interested in that, well, hit me up. Let me know. I'll let you know how that works. But without further ado, guys, it is time for Tip of the Week.
This week's tip comes from Crystal. Hide your wallet before downloading the new app. She's talking about Morphs-Under app. I don't know what's going on. Something's happened with that wallet or something, but that is a good tip. Let me go do that now and make sure before I download that app. But thanks for the tip, Crystal. Go check out Crystal on Instagram.
All right, there you go. Great tip. Yeah, be safe when you're doing stuff. People can grab stuff off the internet, off your phone. So just, make sure you got your security settings all on. You never know. Nothing wrong with being safer and cautious. I would say don't put. I would say don't even put like account information on your main phone. If you have a second phone for just that stuff, do that. Safety is always key. People are learning more new ways to take your money, and we already got to spend money on snakes. We don't need people to take it. But yes, 100%. But let's hit another question. Let me see. Nope, that is not where the questions are. Oh, let's see this. I think this is a good question. Okay, can you talk about a good breeding experience and a bad one?
Hmm.
I
So,
just want to make sure people hear about the good, but also understand there is bad situations. We're dealing with live creatures here. Sometimes,
yeah.
birth doesn't happen the way it's supposed to. Things happen. So I want to make sure I cover both those bases and people hear these stories so they're not
Hmm.
surprised or shocked when things happen to them.
Yeah.
Um, so go
So,
ahead, Paul.
I'll start with the bad, I think, because this last season that we just got through was tough. It's the toughest season we've ever had, and
Mm,
it kicked off with and this is a good tip for everyone here to be prepared because we built the facility a couple of years ago, and we bought a small backup generator because we live in the New Forest in the UK, and we get quite a lot of stormy weather. So when you guys are getting stormy weather in Florida, about a month later we get some seriously stormy weather hitting the UK, and we're only a small island. It
mm,
hits us hard, and I'm surrounded by oak trees in the forest, and those oak trees are going to come down on our power. All our power lines are actually above ground, yeah. So they're cables that
okay.
are kind of up in the sky.
Yep,
They're
yep,
not in the ground.
yep.
So when
We
those
have some
trees
of
come
those.
down, we get 3 or 4 power cuts a year that can last up to
Mm,
2 or 3 days, and it's normally happening in very, very cold conditions. Of course, our snake facility was dropping down to 72 degrees ambient temperature, and
mm,
I said to Jared, we need to get the generator out and we need to start putting some heat into that place because we've got all these snakes and they're all going to start suffering. And I've never been so stressed in all my life because it's the first time we had to check out the generator. Now, my collection or our collection is now worth quite a lot of money, you know, and I spent £400 on a generator thinking that'll be fine. It wasn't
mm,
fine at all. It just had about enough power to keep one electric oiled heater going inside the facility. I
mm-hmm.
managed to get it up to about 75 degrees and held it there for 3 days and prayed that the snakes would be okay. It didn't have the power to heat them heat mats. It didn't have the power to do all the other things it needed to do. And I said to Jared, when the power was restored, I said, I never want to go through this experience again. Let's go and buy a heavy duty generator. Let's spend the money. So when this happens, we are ready. So now we've got the small generator as our backup generator. I've
Mm-hmm.
got a really big generator that's going to take care of everything.
Okay.
I don't
Yeah,
want to go.
that
Yeah.
that is one of the things people don't. They've been starting to talk about it more about power outage and having generators, and even having emergency plans for your reptiles.
Yeah.
Earthquakes, hurricanes, flooding, uh, fires. These are things you kind of have to prepare for,
Hmm.
and have a plan on what to do, how to act, and how to let other people know if they come into your facility or your breeding facility what to expect and what you want them to do. Um,
Yeah. So
it
what
is
I've
important.
yeah, it's incredibly important. I can't really underemphasize how important it is to have not just a backup plan, not just a plan, but a backup plan behind the plan.
Yep.
Have two of everything backing you up because imagine if the generator doesn't work and you haven't got a backup generator. So we managed to save all our snakes. We
Nice.
couldn't feed them for a couple of weeks because we didn't want to feed them. They'd gone through a shock. These
Mm-hmm.
all our breeder girls and boys went through a shock because they'd gone off 84, 85, dropped down to 72, and they were that way for 2 or 3 days. It's a bit of a shock to the
Mm.
system.
Yeah.
So we thought the last thing we need to do is feed them because if we feed them and their tummy heat's not going to be right, and also they're going to have to. They've been stressed by a sharp drop in
Yeah.
temperature, and there's no way I was going to stress them by feeding them. So we fasted them for
Definitely.
6 weeks. We actually fasted all our snakes for 6 weeks.
Mm.
And of course, this happened right at the pinnacle of the build process on the breeder.
Yep, it always does.
And we normally do 15 clutches a season, and we ended up with 6, of which only 4 were viable this year. But
Mm.
thank goodness we had a fantastic result with our double het hypo pied clutch that was Super Firefly. We
Okay.
believe we may have hit a double visual on a double het. 1 out
Nice.
of 16 chance. We only had 7 eggs, and we think we've hit at least 1 double
Nice.
visual. And we also think we've hit a Super Firefly. But we've got 3 pieds and 2 ghosts that are visual, and we've got
Okay.
1 that we think is a ghost pied, and that's off a double het. And those odds just out of the park. I mean, we were so grateful for that, because we thought we'd going to almost write off our season because we had very little to show for our effort. So the reality is, you have all these exciting plans. I'm a financial accountant. I did all the forecasts. So I thought, on the basis of probabilities, we should have done £30,000 worth of business this year. And in reality, we might be lucky to have done £5,000 worth of business. I mean,
Mm.
that's probably what we did. And but I'm not too disheartened by that, because all the girls that didn't go are now twice the size that they are. They're now ready to go for this year. They've been well rested, and they'll probably end up giving me 8, 9, or 10 egg clutches instead of 4 or 5. So
Oh,
what sometimes feels like a curse can be a blessing in disguise. So
very
just stay
true.
the course. Don't allow it to affect your long-term plan. Stay strong. Don't get out the hobby if something goes wrong. Just hold your
Mm-hmm.
ground. Seek
Mm-hmm.
friendly advice. The other mistake I made in my first season was I overbred my animals, because I was so enthusiastic about the hobby that I thought these boys could go far. And I actually
Mm.
put a couple of my boys under so much strain they couldn't breed the following year. I had to rest them. And also some of my
Mm.
girls, I fed them up which I thought I fed up my girls so beautifully. I stressed them out, and when they came off their clutches, I've even got one girl at the moment who gave me a lovely clown clutch. She's not ready for this year. She's had 2 years healing, because I made a
Mm.
mistake as a breeder. I actually overfed her too quickly. I overstressed her. She gave me a lovely
Mm.
clutch of 5 eggs, which is nice for the babies, but her
Yeah.
health and condition could have been handled so much better. And I've learned from that, and now I'm very, very careful. I don't stretch my boys. I don't stretch my girls. I don't overbreed. My boys get to breed maybe once a month, if that,
Okay.
and they might only have two or three females. I'm not going to stretch them any further, because
Okay.
I made a huge mistake, and I don't want to put my animals at risk for the sake of
Yeah.
clutches. So I'd rather be cautious and prudent, and so that's my top tip on my bad experiences. But I've had some beautiful experiences as well. So it's not all bad news. You get a lot of really
True.
positive things that happen too. And the positive things is like when you go for a double het clutch and you end up with a double visual with extra codons
Yes.
thrown in, and you think to yourself, that was a roll of the dice, but look, the odds are in my favor this time, and it kind of gears you up and gets you excited. And
Yes.
you've got to stay focused and rejoice in the victories and learn from the mistakes.
Very true.
This is what I would say to anyone out there that's getting into this hobby. Let's be real with each other. It's not a bed of roses, and maybe only half your girls are going to go. Don't think all your girls are going to go.
Yes.
The other thing I've learned is, spread your girls out over several seasons. Don't go crazy and try and squeeze out as many clutches as you can. Enjoy the
Mm-hmm.
hobby. Enjoy them gently. I would recommend sometimes resting a girl 2 years before you breed again.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly
That's what
rest them.
I'm actually planning to have maybe 40 breeder girls and only breed 20 in that season.
Very wise.
And
Very
every
wise.
year switch which 20 get bred. Just to make sure they're healthy, give
Mhm.
me better clutches, and not
Mhm.
overwork them or myself, because
Absolutely.
you still have to take care of all these babies. You have
Yeah.
to have the time to feed, to clean,
Mhm.
to try to socialize some of these animals too. Because
Mhm.
most of our customers are other breeders, but every so often somebody wants it as a pet, so you want them to have a good experience with that animal. So you kind of have to socialize that animal, get it used to being handled, getting used to being touched,
Yes.
and not always when my tub is open, I'm about to eat or get clean. You want them to understand, like, oh, this is time for me to come out and hang out. Um, so you want to socialize your animals at times. And when you have so many animals, it's hard to do that. You miss that one-on-one time with each animal.
Yeah.
So that's something I'm starting to learn as I grow bigger. And as someone else told me, Kai said, don't think about how many animals you can take care of when you're healthy. Think about how many animals you can take care of when you're sick. And
Absolutely.
that gave me a whole new perspective on the way I want to grow my collection and have my collection.
Yeah.
So
This is very
definitely.
good. Yeah, Gershon, this is such good advice you're giving here because um, some of the most experienced breeders I know, and some of the most um, what's the word? Clever breeders in a way, is they downscale their size of their collections as their quality of their breeding pairs go up. The value of the
Mhm.
clutches go up. They don't
Mhm.
need to generate as many clutches to pay for their overheads. So what they
Mhm.
do is they reduce their workload and they focus on the really high-end projects because obviously after 3 or 4 years you're going to get experience. You're going to want to commit maybe a bit more money because when I started off I didn't want to commit too much until I learnt the science of keeping ball pythons, because if I cocked up and I've got like £50,000 worth of snakes and I mess up because I don't understand the science, not only are you damaging those animals, you're also basically damaging any investment money that you might have on the projects.
Very
So I,
true.
I, I bought lots of, plain codoms. I just wanted to work with the animals. I got some mature males and females. I wanted to try to learn how to raise a clutch, how to successfully take 2 or 3 years to learn the art and craft of keeping ball pythons. And then if you're lucky enough to have some backing capital, commit yourself to capital at that point once you understand the science of this. It's not as easy as people think. A lot of things can go wrong.
No.
It's not, and what happens, of course, beginners get one good clutch normally, and it gets them
Yep.
excited, and they think it's all going to be easy. But the
Like
reality
this
of
is
it,
gonna be this all the time, and
it
then
isn't
that
always
next year
easy.
they
Yeah,
deal with
yeah,
snakes not absorbing yolk or shark mouth or kinks or eggs getting dehydrated because there's not enough humidity in them. They
yeah,
get the gambit of breeding problems in that one year, and they're like, "Oh my God, I didn't know this was what it was." And it's good for people to see the bad and the mistakes and the ways to fix those mistakes in the breeding process instead of having to go through it themselves sometimes. It's
yeah.
better to see it and be mentally prepared for those things when it does happen.
Yes,
Um, so
absolutely. Yeah.
I try to show the good and the bad throughout my breeding season.
I think
To
that's
just
really
give
good.
people a better
Yeah,
idea of what might happen.
yeah.
100%.
Well, Gershon, I think that's a really good policy because there's a lot. You're working with a lot of new breeders, particularly on your channel,
Yep.
and they're going to be looking at your channel as kind of, this is what Gershon's going through. This is what I could expect. This is what could happen. So if you just show them all the good, and you don't show them what goes wrong, they're going to get a false
Mhm.
sense of security, and also
Mhm.
you can show them how to overcome these. See, the whole point about being a good ball python keeper is to learn from your mistakes and not to be. You're not defined by your mistakes.
Mhm.
None of us are defined by our mistakes. It's what you become that's important, not where you've come from. And that's the true principle in life because we make a lot of mistakes in our lives. It doesn't define us. It just means that we need to make some changes, maybe small changes, and we can improve our lives. It's the same with ball python keeping. I mean, I made a big mistake in my first year of not getting the humidity right in the whole of the facility.
Mhm.
My humidity was, I didn't understand the importance of humidity when I first got into ball pythons. So I was running at 30 or 40% humidity thinking everything's hunky-dory. Not at all.
Oh wow.
Not at all.
Yeah.
I
They.
and
Yeah.
I'm now running at 70% humidity, and I look back at my first year thinking, how did my snakes survive 35, 40%? How did they survive that? And I thought I was doing
Yeah.
fine,
That's super low. Oh
You got to
yeah.
get your humidity up. I mean, don't be frightened to get the humidity up to 70% even. That's an idea to me. I mean, what level of humidity are you running? I'll be interested to know, Gershon.
Um. I think I'm between 70 and 85.
Wow, so
Um.
you're much higher than me even. I mean, I thought 70 was high. That's amazing. Okay.
Yeah. We so in Wisconsin, winter it gets real dry, so I have to change the way I do my humidity in the room. I
Yeah.
usually spray my floor. I got the idea from Garrett Meyer.
Hmm.
He wets his floor, which helps raise the humidity in his facility. So I've been doing that. I get an extra heater in my room and I spray the floor water here and there, and that helps raise the humidity on top of the cocoa I use in the tubs, and I spray that down. I usually spray down every other day or every 3 days. I definitely spray when I see a girl going into a shed or a boy going in the shed.
Mm-hmm.
But it is one of those things you have to keep an eye on because
Yeah.
life happens. Sometimes you get busy and you miss a tub, and you come back and you see a girl or a boy has a shed and they got stuck shed because they didn't have the right balance of humidity.
Yeah.
Don't be down on yourself. Just know, hey, gotta be on top of my game. Gotta pay attention.
Yeah.
Now I gotta soak this girl and help her get this off. Um, so
Yeah.
mistakes can happen, but hopefully you set what is it, like boundaries or things in place that help you either catch those mistakes before it gets too bad, or something that catches those mistakes before you actually make that mistake.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't. I know there's a word, but I can't think of it.
Preventative medicine and cure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, my approach now to humidity is there's 3 or 4 different approaches I take to humidity now. So I've learned this technique. Instead of me spraying down every rub and soaking up the cocoa husk, because we use paper anyway, and there's advantages of using paper. I'm not saying that cocoa husk is wrong at all. Cocoa husk is used by the majority of the industry, so it's obviously effective. For us, we prefer paper, but it's hard to keep humidity with paper. So what we do is we have 2 humidifiers that are firing out. You know, I have a backup plan for everything. I have 2 humidifiers firing out mist, and I have a heater, so I've got about 78 to 80 degree ambient temperature. So when you check your humidity levels, you've also got to combine that with the temperature in the facility, because you don't want to have high humidity cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not good.
That's
you need to have
problem.
high humidity, but you need to have that warmth with it. It needs to be. If you're not sweating in your facility within 15 minutes, you've got your conditions are wrong.
Yep.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
When I do my podcast, I have to keep my door open so I'm not drenched in sweating.
Yeah.
Because you'll see me in other episodes of the podcast where every 2 seconds I'm wiping my face down because I'm sweating.
Yeah. So that's a good sign. So if you can stay 15 minutes in your facility and you're getting hot and sweaty, it means your conditions are probably right.
Yeah.
But the other thing I do is I've enlarged the size of my bowls, because the humidity within the rub is determined by the area surface of the bowl, not the depth of the bowl. It's the area surface of the water surface.
Gotcha.
The wider the bowl, the more water vapor that can come into your rub. And so instead of actually worrying about soaking on that cocoa husk all the time, because doing that daily takes a lot of time, also, if you don't change your cocoa husk regularly and you keep on wetting it, that encourages mold, which encourages RI. So you've got, as an art in using cocoa, right? People think it's straightforward. It's not straightforward. I mean, timber will mold, even paper will mold, but I change the paper every 2 or 3 days, so it never gets a chance to mold. That's why we clean as we go. We don't have to do deep cleans, because we're doing a deep clean every 2 or 3 days on every snake. And I've seen some of the mess that those snakes make on paper that you'll never see on cocoa husk. You'll never see it.
Yeah.
You'll be surprised how dirty that cocoa husk gets within days. And
I used to be on paper. That's the only thing about cocoa. It does give you a false sense of security.
It can do.
Because you're like, the snake peed and the cocoa sucked it up. It's good.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just need to change the cocoa altogether. Like I was on usually change the cocoa when the snake goes in the shed. So I know that's usually a month cycle. But now that I have switched the way I feed, my snakes don't shed every month now normally. They eat less, but they retain more of that food. But that also means they less output of waste, which actually takes them a longer time between sheds. So now I have to drastically change when I change my cocoa, because that wait to the next shed cycle is way too long now, and that cocoa will get moldy and nasty. So that's something I had to adjust. That's the thing. Sometimes when you change one thing, it affects so many different other things that you don't realize at that moment. and you slowly learn about. So that's
Yeah,
one reason to pay attention to your animals. Your animals
absolutely.
will tell you everything you need to know they need from you.
I check the temperature of all my animals every day, once a day at least.
Okay, yeah.
So when I'm cleaning, I'm in with a temperature gun. Now, the thing is, we've saved so much time. If I told you how effective, we had our very best feeding session last night, ever. We
Mm.
fed 200 snakes, and me and Jared did it in half an hour.
Oh wow.
And they're all not live, they're all defrosted.
Frozen. Oh wow.
And I'll tell you one thing, I've never seen my snakes feed so well, ever. And do you know why they're feeding so well, Gershon?
Why is that?
Because I lifted the humidity up. You know, I told you I was bumping it up to the 70s with heat as well. So there's 78 to 80 degree ambient temperature. I've also, including my subadults and my large hatchlings, I decided not to feed every week. I feed every 2 weeks, but I give them a bigger meal. So they get a multi.
Yep.
They get an XX multi now. And
Okay.
only my big girls get small rats or medium rats. So everything gets high quality food. But I don't starve them. You know, I talked about my health, about intermittent fasting. When I eat like a king, and my body's ready to take it. And I eat every single mouthful I love. Nothing goes to waste. And I eat quality. We've got to apply the same principle to our snakes. Give them the very best quality you can afford.
Mm-hmm.
Don't feed them weekly. I made the mistake of feeding my snakes weekly, and a lot of them were stressed out at the end of a breeding season because I'd overbred them and overfed them. And I learned my mistake. Never do that, guys. I know it's exciting to have these projects go, but it's counterproductive in the long run. You're going to get 3 or 4 egg clutches with lots of slugs, and you'll think you're going to hit your snakes early, but you're going to push your girls back another 2 years, and your boys are going to be like not as strong as they should be. Take your time. Feed every 2 weeks. Give them the right size meal. You'll save so much money on food. You'll save so much money on cleaning, and those animals will be very happy, sat in the right temperatures and the right humidity, and have their meal every 2 weeks, and be very thankful they're not being overfed, because you keep their stress levels down. When an animal feeds, their stress levels go through the roof.
Yep.
Takes an animal 11 months to poo out its food before it's empty. 11 months, a mature animal. If you never fed an animal for 11 months, that animal would carry on pooing for 11 months on whatever reserve it's got, if it was a decent sized meal, if it's a decent sized animal. Okay. Now we think after a couple of weeks they're empty. They're not empty at all. I mean,
No.
some of my snakes were still pooing, very beautiful. And the stools, study the stools to tell you if you're doing it right. If they're nice and small and firm, and they're not smelly, then you're feeding them right and they've got the right conditions. If it's runny, all over the shop, squidgy, large poos, something's going wrong.
Yeah.
You want nice, small stools, firm, because the quality of the stools tells you the quality of the stress of the animal. And I've now got all my animals giving me good poos, nice and small, nice and firm, and I know that my feeding regime is correct because the animals aren't stressed. And literally, last night when we fed those snakes, I could hardly open the rub before they nailed the food. I literally opened the rub, and the snakes were vertically up with their mouths open, gaping, and they just grabbed it, and I didn't have to coax them at all. And it's because I don't overfeed them, and I get their humidity and their temperatures right, and I do not overhandle them, and I leave them in peace, and I only go and visit them once or twice a day. I don't open up the rubs. They're completely at peace. Don't disturb them. Don't overhandle them. If you take that approach, you will end up with a collection that's such a joy to feed and to clean. It won't be a horrendous long... Well, it took me 3 hours to feed 30 snakes in my first year. 3 hours it took me to feed 30 snakes in my first year of breeding, and I was doing my head in. I told my son, this is too hard for me, Jared.
Yeah.
I was doing something wrong, but that's the learning curve. Now, I know exactly how to feed these snakes and how to get them ready. And they've just got to take this. Same with hatchlings. Don't overfeed your hatchling. When those babies are born, we want to give them a meal. Normally, I don't give my hatchlings a meal for 2 weeks before I give them a meal.
Yeah.
I don't offer them anything for 2 weeks.
So is that after they had their first shed, or?
So once they come out of the egg, and once they've had their first shed, and then I'll give them a week or two. I will not give them any food for a couple of weeks after they've come out of their eggs. I've learnt my lesson. I lost a snake by being, as a beginner, I had a beautiful banana boy that I was really proud of, and I was determined to, first time I was feeding a hatchling, and I kept on persisting with him and I put a negative feeding response into his head because I was anxious for him to feed, and my nervousness rubbed off on the animal, and he died because he wasn't willing to eat because
Okay.
I cocked up. Okay, I'm not proud of that, but it's a learning curve. Not defined by
Yeah.
our mistakes, we learn from our mistakes. So when we feed a hatchling, try not to let your anxiety to feed them rub off on them and create a bad habit. Just
Mhm.
let them get hungry, and offer them food when they're in the S position. They'll take the food. When they get hungry, they'll take it. And if they don't take it,
Okay.
don't worry. Just give them a little chance. Close the rub.
Exactly.
Come back to them in about a week's time or 5 days time and try again. They'll get it. And
Yeah. Yeah.
this is not live mice. This is frozen. These are rat fluffs that we've given them frozen. We don't feed live in the UK. Not allowed to. It's illegal. So everything is fed frozen. So this other thing about people saying we've got to use live mice to feed. We've never had to feed a live animal to any of our snakes ever.
Wow, that's crazy because I go through the habit if they don't eat frozen thawed, and if after so many tries they don't eat, I throw a live in because I feel they're one of those that
Yeah,
need that movement. Um,
yeah. I mean, it's
yeah, I
interesting. They
keep
won't let us
forgetting
do
you
it.
guys don't
Yeah,
do live.
they won't let us do it in the UK, and as a result, we've learnt to become very good frozen thawed feeders because there's no other option. But I can tell you
Very
now,
true.
other than that one that I cocked up because of my own anxiety, we have not
Uh
lost a
huh.
snake because of a frozen thawed bit of food. I've never had to feed
Okay,
a live animal
so
ever.
you might have this video on your channel, but do you have a video of how you prepare your frozen thawed and what do you do in the process of eating?
I think Jad and
Um,
I are going to do one. We'll do one on our channel because
okay,
we're getting so good at this now that I think we're probably
yeah,
qualified to do one.
because
Yeah,
I'm definitely watching that video because I'm a frozen thawed feeder
yeah,
and anything that would help make sure, like I've already switched to every other week, every other week with my
yeah.
snake, so I'm not feeding weekly anymore, and
Good
I've
move,
seen the
Gershon.
change of feeding response with a lot of my animals.
Yeah.
Um, but it also puts a little bit of stress in my mind because since they're eating every other week, if they miss 2 meals, they haven't eaten in a month.
So what I
I
would say,
do know
yeah.
that the little ball pythons can go long periods of time without eating. That's in their makeup. They're very
So
much
yeah, good.
opportunistic feeders. Is that the
Yeah.
word? I think so.
The, but Gershon, what I would say to you is that let's take your example that you're concerned about a snake. Let's say a hatchling doesn't take every 2 weeks. I mean, hatchlings
Mm-hmm.
we try and feed weekly anyway because they're small. Get a meal on them.
Yep.
So I would say feed your hatchlings weekly. But when they get to sub-adult size and they can take like a decent sized multi, they don't need to be fed every week. They can be fed every 2 weeks. They can almost become like the adults. But when they're
Okay.
small hatchlings, for the first probably 6 months of their life, you probably want to feed them weekly. But if they don't take if they don't take some food one week and you are worried about them, then I would present a meal to them the following week. Never leave a hatchling to go more than a week without presenting. So that, and the other thing is, what we do is anything that doesn't eat, we just put a green tag on and we go back a few days later and represent something to them to see if they take it. Because
Mm-hmm.
they might be going into a shed, they might just be not
True.
quite ready for it, but not to over what's the word? Not to overwork the animal. But if it's not taken within a few minutes, you should back away from it and not give it a negative response.
Gotcha.
Just back off from it. Don't kind of keep persisting with it because I did that with that banana boy, and I regret to say it was my own fault, but I lost that animal
Mm-hmm.
because he just wouldn't take it. He was like, you can't force food on these animals.
Very true.
Yeah,
Very
Jared is
true.
very good at doing what they call assist feeds. He's very good at assist feeds. We've got 4 disabled snakes that are doing it very, very well, where they've got
Okay.
shark mouth, and one of them's completely blind. And if we put out a video with them on, then they're about 6 months old now, and they're doing really well.
Mm.
And that's worth
Okay.
doing. So if you get a snake that's got shark jaw or it's got blind, don't write it off. It's a pet
Yeah.
animal that you can still raise and you can still, and it's actually quite a challenge to learn how to feed a disabled snake, and then they'll make great pets for people. I've had some of my YouTube channel people want 1 or 2 of my snakes, and I'll get them
Yeah.
up to size and get them feeding, and then I can gift them to friends if I want to, or keep them as
Yeah.
pets for myself.
I have a clown girl that I had to assist feed for almost the first year of her life. And now she's eating on her own. She doesn't have sharp jaw or anything. She does have smaller eyes. She came from a clutch that got the eggs got wet at the bottom, and I didn't notice it, so I lost a good majority of that clutch. The few eggs that hatched out had issues, and she's like literally the only survivor of that whole clutch. Everybody else that hatched out, they slowly died. She's the only one that hangs on, and I assist fed her for the first year of her life. Every so often, she would take a meal by herself, but now she's eating regularly by herself and is slowly getting some decent weight. Compared to all my other last year holdbacks, she is clearly the smallest, but she's getting there. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I can
it's
definitely understand that.
And it's something nice about being a breeder and having this experience the first time and getting a little bit panicky about, oh, is this snake going to make it? Are they going to be able to, when you actually do get a meal into them and they start feeding regularly, it's a lovely feeling, isn't it, inside? You feel like you're preserving life, even though it's not a perfect life.
Yep.
A disabled snake is as valuable to me as a perfect snake. If it can
Very
eat
true.
and survive. We
Yeah.
have to value that snake, just as we do humans. If you have a disabled human, you're not going to suddenly just write them off. And it's the same with
Nope.
us. We end up with a problem. We donated a two-headed snake to the Natural History Museum in London. We've actually produced
Okay.
a two-headed snake 2 years ago. And do
Oh,
you know
wow.
do you know the odds of producing a two-headed snake?
It's got to be 1 in a million.
It is 1 in 100,000 eggs is a
Oh,
two-headed snake.
wow.
And we were brand new breeders, and we hadn't even bred 100 snakes, and we hit one within 100. And it was unfortunately
Wow.
it was a lovely pied, but it was severely kinked. And
Um,
Jared and I tried, but there's no way it would have eaten, and it was no way. So in the
Yeah.
end, we donated it to science for children to go and visit the museum to see a two-headed snake. So we gave it to the people in National History Museum, and it's going to be an exhibit there. So when children and their families want to go and see a two-headed snake, they can see one.
Okay.
And we donated it, and that's what we did. So we donated that one to science. So I'd love to produce a two-headed snake that hasn't got kinks.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
They're worth about $25,000, by the way. If you can get a ball python with a two-headed snake with no kinks, someone will pay you $25,000 for it.
Oh, wow.
Brian Barczyk will probably offer you $25K for it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What's up, Area 51? Thanks for coming by. So before we go, we have to go ahead and say thank you to our sponsor for this episode. So one more time before we go, say thank you to our sponsor. So here we go.
This episode is sponsored by HERP Collectors. They're a family-run business specializing in investment quality morphs to help other breeders achieve their project dreams and beyond. They are working with a couple different morphs specifically. Their baseline is Clown, Desert Ghost, and Hypo. And they're dabbing a little bit in the Ultramale and Pieds as well. So definitely check them out for ball python needs. They are slowly coming up in the industry, and they're going to be producing some amazing animals very soon. But that's not all. They also have a YouTube channel. Of course, you know we're all about YouTube over here. They do a live podcast on their YouTube channel every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time called Clutch Conversations. It's a great podcast. I was actually on it, and Mike does an amazing job interviewing guests. He also brings guests from all over the industry and talks to them. It's a definite watch if you're free on Thursdays. And if you're not, you can still listen to it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you find your favorite podcast apps. Their mission is also to share the excitement of working with these reptiles, as well as bringing people together to promote and preserve our hobby. So what are you waiting for? Go follow and subscribe to their YouTube, their Instagram, their Facebook, and their TikTok. Thanks for sponsoring this episode, HERP Collectors.
Thanks again, Mike, for sponsoring this episode. Greatly appreciate it. Go check them out. They also own Morph Market. I don't know if I said that in the ad, but I probably did because I put it up there. Go check them out on Morph Market. They do have some animals, I believe, available on there, so definitely check them out. and always check them out on Clutch Conversations Thursday at it's 7 Central for me. It's 8 Eastern time for others. Next time I'll remember exactly those dates, but go check them out. Links in the description for them. You can find their YouTube, Instagram, and all that good stuff. Paul, I forgot to talk to you about your Instagram, your YouTube. Um, I think we talked about TikTok last time. You don't have TikTok, do you?
No, Jared runs the Instagram.
Okay,
He's going to beef that up because I think we've got some really exciting things happening this year. So he's going to
nice.
be using that a little bit more.
Okay.
We're doing 2 videos a week now on YouTube. That's
Okay.
what we're aiming for. And I say we're going to launch the live channel probably during the winter, leading up to Christmas, and we're going to put a feeler out. I'm so glad that you've got some UK breeders coming. I think next week you've got Gavin from Balls to You coming.
So Gavin is in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks'
Next
time.
week, yeah, 2 weeks time. Next week is Eve. She's coming on next week. So
Okay.
that is
That
gonna
would be
be
excellent.
interesting.
That's going to be
Yes.
so good. They both produce amazing animals, and they're so much ahead.
Very much.
They're way ahead of myself, but they're a lot of experience. But yeah, you're going to have some fun with both those 2 breeders for sure. Yeah.
Definitely excited to talk to both of them. I am going to get to know them because it'll be the first time I'm actually talking to them. So that's going to be interesting. So I'm going to try to get over that, quickly getting to know them, and then get into the meat and bones of the podcast and get to know what they're doing, what they're working with, and maybe some tips from them from breeding and doing YouTube, since Gavin's been doing YouTube for so long. And
Yes.
Eve is in the start of her YouTube journey to an extent, and see it from both different angles. So that would be great to find out as well.
Yeah.
But Paul, before we go, anything you would like to promote, let people know about? I honestly, you guys go check out, what is it called? The lock camera? Is that
Yeah.
what it is? Or the head
There's a
camera?
lot. Yeah, we've got a couple of videos with called Lock Cam. If you search,
Okay.
I think I've got 3 or 4 playlists on my YouTube channel, and one of them's about locks 21, 22, 2021. In the lock playlist, you'll see the Lock Cam in there. So if you want to
Okay.
see the building up of the breeding process, and I fast tracked everything, so you don't see 7 hours of footage, you see it in about 5 minutes, and I've just fast tracked the whole thing, so when we get to the business end you see what happens, and it's just
Okay.
amazing. Yeah.
So definitely check that out, everyone.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anything else you want to promote? I mean, looking forward to the podcast coming back. Definitely excited. for
Yeah.
that.
And of course we are looking forward to, which I know that Adam, who's very much into it as well, is Marvel are coming out with 16 special films over the next 2 years. And I know that Gershon loves his Marvel films.
Yes.
So are there any particular films that you are looking forward to yourself coming?
So I am I thank you so much for asking me about my nerdy side and excitement. So Black Panther Wakanda Forever comes out November 11th. I'm actually going to go get my tickets for that very soon. Super excited for that. But I actually found out that Marvel is kind of slowing down their movie releases, which I think is actually a good idea. They have so much stuff. They need to stretch it out a little more. It's getting too close to each other, and people are starting to get fatigued of Marvel, which I totally understand. I'm not. I'm still watching all their stuff, but I can understand the rest of the world.
Yeah.
But I am super excited for Black Panther Wakanda Forever. I'm excited for Armor Wars, which was a show, is now becoming a movie. I'm excited for that. It brings in Black Panther for Wakanda Forever is going to bring in Riri, who is also a super smart black female woman who builds her own Iron Man suit and becomes Iron Heart. I'm really excited to see what they do with that and the enjoyment little girls will get from that. Seeing another kind of representation for them on screen, being lovers of that content and seeing themselves in that content is so powerful. People don't realize how powerful it is to see yourself in something you enjoy so much. Sorry, got a little emotional because I see my kids love this stuff and get to see themselves in these characters is magical.
Yeah.
Like, I've loved these characters for a long time, but I never saw myself in them as much. But now that my kids see themselves, it's so amazing. And just the diversity that's happening within Hollywood. I know some people look down on it, but for younger generations to see themselves in the things they love and watch and enjoy and have passions about is a beautiful thing, and it gives kids a whole sense of self growing up, and it makes
Yeah.
them, strive for bigger things in their life and bigger goals that they normally wouldn't do when they didn't see themselves in those things. So I am so excited for myself, but more for my kids to see that as
Yes.
they grow up. So that is very exciting. I did not mean to get so
No,
emotional
that's
about
okay. That's all right.
that.
No, I mean, I love a good family film. If it's got a very good, strong moral story to it, and the kids
Yes,
get it, then when you watch it as a family, you kind of relive your own childhood through your kids. And you
yes,
probably know the Harry Potter series. Today we had some sad news that
yeah. I've seen that. Yes,
Hagrid passed, and you know what? There's a lot of my kids that looked up to him as a character, and the fact that the guy's
Mhm.
gone now is like such a sad day for them, because they really do love these characters and they really do learn a lot
Very
from them.
true.
There's a great teaching moments in these films, and I can see the benefit of raising your family in them. And so it's lovely that there's some coming, and it's good that they're actually looking at widening it slightly, but also making sure that they're not overdoing it as well. Because I think
Yep,
you can get a high volume of what I call low budget videos that don't really cut the mustard for me. I'd rather
true.
them do slightly less but high
Yep,
quality, if you know what I'm saying.
very true. Very
Yeah.
true. And they're starting to work with characters that people don't really know much about. So
Hmm.
it's hard to get people excited for a character they don't
Yeah.
have a passion for. So
Yeah.
you might have to slow down to help people build that passion for that character and go a little deeper into that character for them to
Yeah.
understand why it touches them emotionally. So I
Gershon,
get what they're doing.
can I ask you one question before we wrap up? Because
Sure.
I just wanted to ask you, what's your most exciting project that you're looking forward to in the new season coming?
Okay. Oh, so I I don't think it's the most exciting project I have is the actual albino clown pie, the triple recessive project. Um, I have a triple het girl. She's breeder size. I'm actually waiting for a clutch for her from her now. So being that she's laying so late into the next season, I'm definitely giving her next season off. But
Hmm.
I have an inchy triple het albino clown male that I'm growing up that I produced. Well, me and a friend produced, and they're growing up this season. I have a 1.1 of that growing them up, so I'm very excited for that project. In another 2 years, I should be able to pair a male to a female and hopefully hit albino clown pies. Super excited about that. But for this coming season, I'm actually very excited for getting albino clown, getting black dark genes into it. So I'm breeding my albino clown male to my GHI female, who is poshead albino. Fingers crossed those odds work for me and she proves out. But I'm also breeding him into a inchy GHI female who is pos albino as well. So I'm excited to get darker genes into the albino clown project,
Hmm.
um, to hopefully get that a bit of a resurgence for that project because I know a lot of people don't like the albino like they used to. Understandable, understandable. It's kind of limited, but I'm trying to give it a little more pizzazz, a different way to
Oh,
go with it. So
I like
super
it.
excited about
Yeah.
that.
I like what you've done with the Enchi, and if you add something like GHI or Leopard, I've got a Leopard albino girl that's stunning, and
Yeah,
I want to get Leopard into that project. If you get Leopard
yep,
in, honestly, it'll just be amazing. But that's
yeah.
so exciting to get triple hits. You're going for triple hits, going for triples. Oh, because Sean, if you hit one of those, it's got to be a 1 out of 256, isn't it, or
It
something?
is. It's. I am. So we have the testing, and I'm pretty sure you got testing now too. I
Yes,
don't
we
know if
have.
anybody in the UK is testing. So how do you think the testing? I mean, I know we were supposed to be wrapping this up, but now we're talking again. But how do you think the testing is going to affect the industry um, in the long term? In the short
So,
term, I totally get it. It's gonna people are going to be able to know what they have real quick. But long term, how do you think it's going to affect POS heads going in the future?
So I think it's going to be positive as long as the breeders are ethical.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I say that is because if someone, we're in that stage where you don't know who's done the testing and who hasn't. So, you know, so when I'm buying a possible het, I'm trusting the breeder that they haven't had it tested and they're selling me something that isn't 66% het, because you can end up spending twice the money on a 66% het as you can with one that's already been tested. And if breeders start dumping snakes on you that aren't 66% het, they've tested them and they're not being transparent, then that's a naughty thing to do. But I think hopefully majority of us are highly ethical and want the very best for each other. So I think that science is only going to help us, and it will mean that we can value the snakes correctly. I think the sad side to it will be, I love running, the fact that you're going for triple het to triple het is Gershon all over, isn't it? It's like, you're a bit like me, you like to play the odds and you like to have fun. You like the excitement of not having a predictable outcome, and I think there's something special about that, and we should never lose that. And that's why I'm so excited. I've got an Exantic Clown. By the way, my Exantic Clown double hets both locked last week.
Nice.
And I jumped for joy. We bred 10 animals, 5 of them locked within 12 hours. And of those, 3 of those projects were exciting projects that we've never had locked before. So I'm super excited about these projects. And if we get lucky, like we did with the Hypo Pied double het clutch, then I'm going to carry on trying double het.
True, very true.
We've got the chance of hitting a super pastel double het Exantic Clown this year. It's 1 out of 16. It's 1 out of 16, but if she gives me 8 eggs, I've got 50% chance.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it.
I want to get into that project in the next maybe 3 years. I think I'm just gonna buy a visual. Hopefully, I'm producing. Because I have a clutch of possible clown pie. Let me not say possible. I have a clutch that will produce me clown pie yellow bellies on day. I think they're 23 days away from cutting. So I'm getting more into double recessives. Albino clown, everybody knows that's a double recessive I've been working at, but now the clown pied is a double recessive that I'm on the grasp of achieving myself, and I'm very excited for that. But as you said before, our clutches are getting more powerful and becoming more expensive, which allows you to take that shortcut to be able to not have to buy the single genes of a triple recessive project. You can buy the double or maybe triple het genes of those, so you can get to that project a little faster and skip a couple building blocks. And that's what money does help you achieve that, but also good networking does, because you can trade for that too. So don't always think money is the end goal for everything. Sometimes it's just being a nice person and having a good friendship with somebody. You never know how that could bless you as well.
Totally agree. And the other thing to consider is that if your money can stretch, try the best way to hit a double recessive. If the money's a little bit tight, but you can't afford a double recessive male or female, is take the Exantic Clown clutch shape, for example. Although I'm going the cheap route, which is 2 double hets, but one of them's got super pastel, one's got pastel, so there's a chance of getting super pastel. If you were to get an Exantic visual het for clown, say that was the boy, and then you got a clown that was het for Exantic girl, and you put those two together, your chances of getting an Exantic Clown go from 1 out of 16 to 1 out of 4. So the key is, if you're going to buy halfway house, what I call the halfway house, you can't afford necessarily a double recessive, get one with the visual het and the opposite in the other partner, and that way you maximize your chances of getting a double recessive, given that you haven't got 2 complete double recessives going in. You've got one that's, say, Exantic het clown and one that's clown het Exantic. That would be the perfect way of doing it if you could. You know, that's another good way of 1 out of 4. I mean, if she gives you 8 eggs, you could get 2 Exantic clowns, and it'll cost you a third of the price of getting double visuals. And you know, that's a very clever way of boxing in my book.
And it gives you 100% hets. it gives you 100%
Yes.
double hex too.
Yeah.
So it makes the things you don't hit are still decently valuable and a lot easier to sell than 66% cross hex.
Yes. And the other thing to consider is, like Billy at Mutation Creation taught me this. He said when new breeders come in, they buy one girl and one boy, and either the boy or girl doesn't lock, and they've built up that female for 3 years, and they feel so sad their project hasn't come. He said, rather than do that, maybe go for a 1.3, and maybe go for a double het backup or a partial visual to het. Have 3 females, and even have a backup boy if you need to, and then you stand a much better chance. If one of those clutches goes for you, you could hit your target. So if you can spread, now if you look at what I've done last week when I bought my Ultra Pied project, I bought 3 girls that are visual pied, 66% hit ultra male, and I bought 1 boy that was ultra male pied, fully visual. So the boy is a stud, will be a stud next year. So I'll put him and try and prove out those 3 girls. The odds gods tell me that 2 of those girls will be 100% hit for ultra male. And if I use my boy to prove them out, I've got 2 very valuable girls that will give me 50% ultra male pieds, which are worth $2,500 each. And if they give me like 6 of those, I've spent £2,000 on the boy, and he could give me like 6 times the value in a couple of years. So sometimes we worry about stretching our finances, but sometimes you can't, if you can stretch to a stud boy male, in the long term, it will pay dividends, providing you've got your conditions right, your breeding right, you've got everything going for you, that you're confident in your breeding, you're confident that you can maintain good, healthy animals. Yeah, looks like...
that's Kai.
Oh, there we go. So Kai's done the pairing. He got 1 out of 5 Exantic Pieds. Yeah. That's amazing.
That's great luck there.
Yeah.
Oh, great odds.
Yeah.
Great odds. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
I love
wow.
it. I think we should never, to answer your question, genetic engineering, genetic testing is going to be a benefit to the industry as long as it's done ethically, fairly, correctly. I think it will mean that we can value our snakes better, but I'd never want to lose the opportunity of playing the long odds. I think the long odds is part of the fun of this hobby.
Gotcha.
Which means that, some people may not want, some people may want to buy 66% het somethings and take a risk.
Want that gamble.
You know.
Some people want that gamble. That's the thrill. That's the thrill of breeding. Some people want to keep in it.
Yeah.
And I can totally understand it.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. But, so guys, I might do this freestyle, free talk more often with, usually, I think I'll do it with guests that's been on before, and it'll be their second time, because I have either known them for a little bit longer, so when we talk, it's a little more of a give and take, and a little more of just us catching up, per se, and enjoying each other. So look forward to that with return guests. I think I like this, definitely. But thank you so much, Paul, for coming. Appreciate it so much.
Absolute pleasure. It's amazing. It's nearly 3 o'clock in the morning in the UK, and you know what? I could go on for another hour. I would. I don't know what it is about spending time with Gershon. You revive. You're a real brother to me, because you really are. And I think anytime you want me to come on your show, and when I launch my show again, I'm going to invite you back as a guest.
Oh, definitely. I'm all willing to come. No one asks me to be on the show because they think I'm so busy. And I'm like, no, I'm just busy on Fridays.
No,
there's other days of the week.
Yeah, we'd love to have you come and join us. And
I would love to come.
We'll definitely do that. And also Jeremy, I've promised Jeremy I'm going to go on one of his shows, because he's been asking me when I'm ready to go on one of his shows. Okay. I've just got to get my fitness. See, what's really lovely is, like, 6 months ago I'd have been absolutely shattered. Tonight I'm because I'm so healthy. I can cope with this 3 o'clock in the morning business.
Yeah, Jeremy's shows are like 3 hours, so you really got to be ready for it.
Oh no, I'll pin Jeremy down to an hour and a half. Don't you worry.
Oh wow! Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you for coming. Greatly appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed talking to Paul. If you haven't subscribed to Paul's channel, links are in the description down below. New Forest Morphs, YouTube link, and Instagram. Go hit both of them. You gotta tell your son to actually do reels too. I'm making this big focus of doing more reels in the next like month or two to see how it grows my channel on
Hmm.
my Instagram. So tell him to shoot a reel here and there. Try to post every other day if you can. But apparently, it helps grow your Instagram, gets you
Thank you,
to
Gershon.
more
Well,
people. So try
yeah.
that.
I'll
Um,
mention it to Jared when he's back in on Monday. I'll say to him, "Come on,
okay.
Jared, where are these reels?" You know what he's gonna do? He'll say, "Dad, are we going fishing?" Let's get the rods out. He'll say,
I
"Come on,
love
Dad.
it.
Oh yeah,
I
I'll go
love
fishing with you."
it. I'm great with fishing. Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh wow.
Oh, we're
Oh
gonna we're gonna one day we're gonna meet at one of these shows, Gershon. I know that
yes,
for sure.
that would be great.
So
I'm
keep
gonna
doing, yeah.
try maybe in 2, 3 years. I would love to come to a show out there. I
Yeah.
know
Do you
you
know what?
guys
I've
have
never been to a show ever. Full stop. I've been breeding for 4 years. I've not been to
really.
one show because of lockdown. But Jared and I need to go and
Oh
visit one of our local
yeah,
shows, and
yeah,
that will help. That will help my channel because I think a lot of people know us on YouTube, but they haven't met us in person. And I think if I go to some of these shows and
yeah.
just have a bit of fun and banter like you guys do, you'll build
Yes,
up a wonderful community. Yeah.
you'll be surprised.
Yeah.
I had a lady walking across the show and saw me and was like, Gershon. And I was like, that's my name. She's like, I watch your channel. I love what you do. And she had her husband with her, and her husband was like, who is this guy? And she was like, no, this is the guy I watch all the time. She was like, oh, he was like, you are the guy I'm hearing in the background all the time. Oh, hey, how you doing? It's amazing the connection you can have from someone watching your stuff and enjoying it and just meeting them. It's it's a hard feeling to describe, but it's great when it happens. But terrifying too if you have anxiety meeting new people. But it's still great.
Oh, it's a what I call it's a great way of breaking the ice. I mean, like you
Yes,
say, when I bought these snakes in this lovely family last week, I thought they talked to me as though they'd known me for ages, and I thought that was
mm,
just so lovely. And their daughter,
nice.
she sent us this beautiful drawing of these ultra pies. She spent some time doing that with a personal message
Oh,
saying, "We watch your YouTube channel and we love it, and I'm really looking forward to the
oh,
next one." And we featured that on the next video because we did a shout out for them. And I said to Jared, this is the magic of the hobby. It's not
yep,
just about the breeding side. It's actually meeting wonderful families and individuals and building up a friendship. And I think that
yeah,
to me is worth as much as the value of the snakes.
yeah.
It's just more. In some ways, it's more because you're building really lasting friendships.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
Exactly. I've gained so many friends from this hobby that will be in my life for
yeah.
many years to come. So
No, it's
definitely,
fantastic, Gershon. Fantastic.
definitely. And
And
you are one of those friends, just so you know, Paul.
thank
You're
you.
one of
No,
them.
we appreciate that. I mean, I feel a really strong bond with you. I mean, I was going to ask you how Judah's doing because last time I remember he was on one of your shows and
Oh,
did a great job and he was playing basketball. But I was going to ask you how old is Judah now and where's he
he's
going with?
8
Yeah,
now. He is still loving basketball, but we're having um, growing pains getting older, doing more schoolwork and trying to focus on schoolwork and not so much basketball.
yeah,
Kids short attention spans nowadays. So we're trying to keep him focused on school. He wants to be a doctor, and we're like, hey, to be a doctor, you have to do a lot of reading. You got
hmm,
to do a lot of reading and math, and you got to pay attention. So focusing on that, trying to get him to keep doing that. But he's doing good. My daughter Abigail is doing really good.
And
Excited for her.
how old is Abigail?
She's 8. No, she's 6. She's 6. So
So
they're 2 years apart.
8 and 6. So they're growing up
Yes.
beautifully. So
Yes, so
yeah.
fast. Oh, so fast. I'm taking
It,
pictures all the time.
enjoy it, Gershon. I mean, I have 5 kids that are now all adults, and
Oh,
that time flies so quickly. Enjoy
it
every
does.
moment. Enjoy every moment. I know it's not
It does.
easy being a parent, particularly in this current climate. But you know what?
Yes.
The joy that you get as a father and as a mother when you see your children making good decisions and making wise decisions, and then it's hard raising little ones. I mean, it really is
Yeah.
hard. It's hard work.
Yeah.
Sleep deprivation and illnesses and all the things that kick in, and
Yeah,
then
he
you've got
was just sick. He was just sick 3 days ago. he had some stomach thing where he just couldn't keep food down.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but he's doing better now.
Okay.
A couple nights my wife had to stay up with him because hey, I was out. I was asleep. I was asleep, and she heard him crying, and she went and laid with him, and he's doing better now though. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's a beautiful thing, and it's a terrifying thing raising a kid because
Mm-hmm.
you have to realize everything you do will affect this child throughout its whole life.
Yeah.
Memories are being made that either will be good or bad for that child and affect the way they conduct themselves in society. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
you don't want to be the one to make your child an a-hole. You want them to be a good person.
Yeah, yeah. I was fine with my kids because my kids are very much like Judah. They like their sport and encourage their sport because sport's a great
Uh-huh.
discipline. You don't want them to get imbalance. You still want them to be able to get
True,
a balance between both.
true.
But if they play hard and they relax well and they sleep well and they eat well, then
Hmm.
as long as they're making sure they find some time for their homework, you'll get a good balance there.
Yep,
You know, and they're only 8 and 6 at the end of the day. Education's about fun at the end of the day, isn't it? My kids
true.
learn more when they're having fun. If they have fun, they'll learn a lot more.
Very
Um,
true.
you know, so I would encourage the basketball and definitely. What does your daughter do? Does she do anything fun?
She is. She tried to play basketball. Wasn't a big fan of it. She likes to. She's getting into riding her bike. She likes doing that.
Mm-hmm.
She's not so much a sport. She's. I think she's gonna be a more girly girl. So
Mm-hmm.
she's into fingernails, makeup more. She's starting to really get excited for that. So I'm trying to do the best I do, and every so often I'll let her paint my fingernails so she can
Oh, dear.
just get that practice in.
You have to put that
Um,
on your Instagram when she does that.
I do need to do that. I do need to do that.
Did I tell you
But
I
it
was
just,
thinking about getting a tattoo done?
oh really?
Yeah,
A tattoo of what? What would you tattoo?
I was gonna have. I mean, I know it sounds a bit private, this, but I was gonna have a snake, a ball python, done on my backside, going into my hole.
Okay,
Sorry,
I
I know this is a family show. I shouldn't be saying
strongly
that.
disagree with that being a good tattoo. A very fun tattoo to show off and talk to people about, yes. But a good one, maybe not.
No, it's only going to be for my wife, that one.
I mean, that's a great bar tattoo. It's gonna bring up a lot of story.
No, I'll wait until I hit my $50,000 snake, then I might have that done.
That's a celebration tattoo. I love it. I
Yeah,
love it.
celebration tattoo. I've got no tattoos on
Oh,
me at the moment, but if I have one, it's going to be very discreet. But I thought, it could be quite a funny one. You could you could have a laugh with
definitely,
that one. But
definitely.
uh,
All right.
oh, Gershon,
So,
it's been lovely
everybody,
tonight. Yeah, lovely
thank
to catch
you
up with
so
you.
much. I did not know I was going to enjoy it this much, Paul. I did
Oh,
not realize I was going to have this much fun.
I really like it
Um,
because we're kind of maturing on the channels where we know each other so well. We can relax off
very
script,
true.
just
Very
talk
true.
naturally. Jeremy's very good at this. Adam's very good, and I think I'm learning now to relax more and have a loose script. Let's see where it
Mm-hmm.
goes. Take the audience with us. Keep an eye on the
Mm-hmm.
comments and maybe take some questions. That kind of thing. It's a
Yeah.
good style because I think it shows that as you relax, you can have a much more natural conversation. And it's also
Mm-hmm.
very good to have those questions because you want some structure there. But
Exactly.
if it's flowing naturally, sometimes a natural flow is sometimes the best way to
Yeah.
go on
I had 6 questions. We only used 3 of them because
Oh,
the
no.
conversation went so well.
Well, you have to
So
invite me back in 6 months for the other 3 questions, Gershon.
definitely, definitely, I definitely do that. Um, but you guys, thank you for coming. I know I usually try to keep you only an hour. We were hitting 2, so this is a
Uh,
little longer show, but we had so much fun. It was hard to stop.
yeah, no, I've
Um,
enjoyed it, and it's lovely
you
to
have
see
to
all
do
these
that.
wonderful people joining us as well. So,
Definitely,
sending out a lot of love to you
definitely.
guys. Thank you for joining us tonight. It's been wonderful, Gershon.
Appreciate it so much.
Yeah.
So, guys, if you're not done for the night and you still want somebody to listen to, go check out Keys Constrictors Live. They're up right now, Hair Down Fridays. I might actually jump over there for a little bit after I go get something to eat. But go hang out with them. You also have Michaela's gonna come on later tonight, I believe. Iron Dog, I believe, comes on later tonight. And I'm not sure if Derek's gonna do his Fun Fact Friday, but that might be going on later tonight too. What's up, Jeremy? I see you in the chat. Thanks, Kai. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I might actually. So Kai, we're gonna have to book you for another episode because I know you a little better now, and we can do this as well. Um,
I'm going to
but
invite Kai on my show because I don't think he's been on my show yet. Because
definitely. So Kai, you're gonna
I
get 2 invites. So
yeah,
get
I
ready
reckon
for
we'll
it.
have a really good show because I like Kai's collection and I like his style, and I think we
Yeah.
think very similar in many ways. So I'm building up a nice little friendship. And
Yeah, I think so.
Jeremy as well. I think Jeremy would be good to have on the show. He's got some amazing
Definitely.
snakes. There's a lot of guys you've got out here. I mean, anyone out there that wants to send me a message and come on my new show, I'm going to do a Gershon. I'm going to plan 6 months in advance. I'm going to solicit all your friends while I'm here.
Hey, that's the best way. That's the best way. I agree with 100%. Hey, Jessica, thanks for coming through. 100%, Jeremy, thanks for coming through. Definitely do it. So, Kai, Jeremy, get a hold of Paul. Let him know, hey, your schedules, your free time, and he'll let you know when the show is gonna start. So you guys
Yeah,
can book
this
and
is
stuff.
great, Gershon. You're whetting my appetite to get back into the live. So,
And I
so thank
love
you.
it.
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah.
I love it. So I'm
Mission
going to be
completed.
texting you in at least a month to see where you are on getting that live going back together.
Yeah, I'm getting energized, Gershon. With my health improving and my energy levels, I'll be able to do international live broadcasts, and even if it means staying up till 1 or 2 in the morning, I can do it because my
Definitely.
body can cope with these late nights.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You could always also pre-record it too. Don't
Yeah.
ever think about that.
Yeah.
I'm actually gonna start trying to do a couple more pre-recorded in 2023 and season 3 of this podcast. I'm gonna do a little more pre-recorded to have my Fridays back maybe a couple times to take the wife out here and
Do you
there.
know what? That's a really good move. I mean, a top tip for anyone that wants to build a strong relationship with their partner is plan a quality date once a week
Mm-hmm.
with your wife, no one else, just you and your wife.
Yep.
And I've been doing that for the last 4 months with my wife, and our relationship has got so much better.
Mm.
And I think to myself, how did I allow that slip? And anyone that's let their relationship slip and they want to strengthen it, spend some time with your partner, away from the kids for just one night. If you can get a good babysitter or someone you trust with the kids, just go out there and have a really good evening. Go to as nice a restaurant as you can afford, or just go for a walk. If you haven't got enough money, just go and take a picnic somewhere nice.
Yeah.
Hold hands, spend some time together, and I promise you, your relationship will get stronger every time you commit yourselves to that. And just basically, like your Friday night slot here, you're dedicated to your Friday channel, and you can do the same thing with your wife, where you just choose an evening. So for me and my wife, we go out on Wednesday nights. She's just started a professional counselling course. This is Mandy's just started a course where she wants to be a professional counsellor, because we've got mental health issues in the family and in our friendship base. And my wife wants to help people through that process of making sense of some of the things that they've had to go through in their lives. And she's got a heart. My wife's got an amazing ability to listen, and she's got a great heart, and she's going to be a wonderful counsellor when she's qualified, and she's going to be a blessing to our family who've got so many mental health issues, but she's going to be a blessing to the community. And and we're both looking forward to our retirement. And I said to Mandy, what are you doing? You're off doing this diploma in professional counselling. It's going to cost her about $15,000. And I'm thinking, what happened to our retirement plans? But I love that. I love that my wife is energized and she wants to do something for herself.
It's hard to not push somebody when you see they're passionate about something, and it gives them a new energy for life. He's probably going to take our retirement away, but the joy it's bringing you is worth it. So.
And also, I could do with some professional counselling myself, to be honest with you.
I mean, we always use somebody picking at our brain and helping us dissect the craziness in there. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Oh, it's been a lovely evening, Gershon. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Paul. Appreciate it so much. So, guys, go have fun. Go tell someone you love them, like them, or care for them. You never know how much that will help somebody just for that day, or for that week, or that month.
Yeah.
You never know how much that means to someone. So,
can I just wish everyone a really good start to the new season? I hope everyone's had a good season, and I know you guys have still got eggs on incubation, and I'm looking forward to seeing the results. But I know that for us in the UK, everything is now getting ready for the next season, and we're super excited. You know, third major season is normally a good season to look forward to for us. So, you know, we've got. We're really excited, but we're excited for all our friends as well because we know they're on a similar journey to us. So, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Next video coming out Thursday. We're gonna do a clutch reveal, show you what we got in some eggs. So check that out Thursday. I don't think we do anything earlier than that. Nope. But if you haven't subscribed to my channel, which makes no sense because you're here, but if you haven't, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Greatly appreciated. Look forward to more reels. I'm trying to do some reels more often, so look forward to that. But thank you guys for checking out the channel, checking out the live, showing your support, and hanging out with us in this amazing conversation me and Paul have had. Thank you. But if you haven't already, hit that like button, because apparently YouTube likes it when you guys hit that like button. I like that YouTube likes it, and I greatly appreciate it. Other than that, you guys have a good night and take care.
Have a great weekend, everyone. Oh, Gershon, that was lovely, and I love your music as well.